record video. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Core. It is Core for Thursday, April 21st, 2022. Sorry, there's no 2021. That's over. That's a long time ago. It's 2022. Maybe I'm carrying over from 420. Did everybody get stoned yesterday to celebrate, or what? John, did you get a little high yesterday?
No, I got to deal with a baby. It's too much. I probably need to, but no, it's too much work.
Recreational weed is legal in Arizona. It's also legal in all of Canada. Bo, did you partake on 420 or no?
No, I didn't. I had a good pandemic year with it, and I'm on hiatus at the moment.
Pandemic year.
The year that was the pandemic.
I was pretty baked for most of the first year of the pandemic.
Yeah, weed.
And
yeah. Well, that's good. Listen, I had nothing to partake in, so what did I do? I drank a lot of this right here. Hold on. Oh, shit. I threw the can away. I drank a lot of this new flavor of Mountain Dew Zero I found. It's called... Shoot.
Oh no! New flavor alert!
Every time Bo hears about a new flavor of Mountain Dew, he gets a little bit excited, a little bit upset.
Sure,
a little judgy, maybe a little judgy, a little excited.
I don't blame you.
Be drinking that. After I just said I was baked for a whole year, I'm like, oh, you're drinking Mountain Dew? What's wrong with you? What weird flavor is it this time?
I can't remember.
Meanwhile, I'm having like mango bango indica blends or something like that.
This thing's some kind of lemonade berry thing, and I don't have it here. It's really good.
Yeah,
though.
I've had that.
Yeah,
I have a weird flavor Mountain Dew. I'm drinking Mountain Dew Voltage.
Oh, those are good.
Mountain Dew Voltage.
Yeah.
We're such suckers for this.
Have electricity in it.
Yeah.
Do they shock it? They shock it with electricity.
That's how you know it's good. Yeah.
It's voltage. It'll wake you up.
It's pretty stupid, but I don't know why I like their things, but I do. But I hate their stupid marketing. I've always hated it. It's always been bad. Even when I was a kid in the 80s.
Much, you drink it every day.
Yeah, here I am eating another can of the damn stuff. I got boxes in the fridge. It's embarrassing.
Well, what's the new name? Well, it's Major Melon, Badger Blast.
What's the other one? Dirty Django.
There's a caramel apple one that I haven't had, but it exists.
I'm sorry, caramel? Did I hear that?
Yeah, like a caramel apple exists.
Oh my lord,
caramel. Yeah,
I don't
know. We got a caramel guy, a caramel lord.
Cold Cash in the chat says, "Is it raspberry lemonade?" Yes, that's the one. But I don't know if it's got
that might be what it's called.
That might be the full name.
Sometimes Mountain Dew goes crazy with the names. They're like, it's Voltage, it's Code Red. Sometimes they're like a Mountain Dew raspberry lemonade.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe they just ran out of ideas. It's definitely not Baja Blast, but I like them all, and it's embarrassing a little bit. But here I am admitting to it.
I just wonder how they decide on these. Like, I want to see the cutting room floor because it's a brainstorm session, right? We got a new flavor. It's a pinkish yellowish thing. What do we call it? Like, I don't want to see all the stuff that didn't make the cut because it was too adult or too,
Zeus's jockstrap or something like that.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
The
I
high
think
voltage
plenty,
taste.
but I'm like, I don't know if I want to say them.
Yeah. Hold on to those. Oh, quick note here. Speaking of Mountain Dew. This might have been the cause of it, actually. Everybody last week wanted to know my core pee story. I'm going to tell that story before the show ends today. I'm not going to start with it.
Okay.
We're going to save it for later, okay? So stick around.
Like a good pee.
Don't hang up.
Later.
You said pee, and I thought of Mountain Dew immediately. I just pictured pee in a refreshing jar of yellow.
Well, I'm pretty sure drinking one of these is what caused the issue that I will be talking about later. That probably gives you too many hints, but something happened on Core a few weeks ago. No one knew about it, and I'm today it all comes out. Today I let it loose.
This is the main event of this week's show. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I was gonna call in sick, then I'm like, oh, pee story. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, earlier John's like, we should do some extra emails, a little light on Newsweek, and I thought, yeah, he's right, but little does he know I'm going to tell the pee story, which is the highest, biggest news you'll hear all week. So
yeah.
Check it out. Coming up soon. Let's do this first. So it was a little bit of a quiet week, which seems strange to say because 2022 has been like kind of nonstop since the year started. Feels like major releases and all kinds of news left and right. But for some reason, it was a little quiet this week on the news front, gaming news front anyway. Small things here and there, but nothing too big. But there is something that happened that is, I guess, close to our history as gamers. World of Warcraft announced a new expansion to their long-running MMO called Dragonflight. And some of you have probably already heard the interview I did with Jeremy Fiesel this week. It's up on the core feed and goes a little deeper into some of the stuff that they announced. It was kind of right after we got the initial announcement, so some of the minutia about what this thing's about and whether people should care about it or not came later in the day, and so I wasn't able to ask him some of those questions. But hopefully, for some of you, it helped. I've talked to Jeremy a few times. He's a really nice guy, and so that was nice to talk to him. Whoa, chat room just says Terra's closing down. Is that true?
Yeah, I heard that.
That's the headline.
Oh, you mean the stupid skins from PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds didn't save it? Weird.
Man.
Anyway,
I've known somehow in the back of my
down?
mind, I've always known that Scott hates Terra Online, and
really
I
don't
like
like it.
as I was thinking, or as he was mentioning, I was like, doesn't Scott hate this game? And then he says that, and I was like, oh yeah, there it is.
Confirmed.
There it is.
Confirmed. Look, I don't have no ire toward the devs or anybody, but Terra was mechanically interesting, but then mostly boobs, and it was just kind of empty and lame, and it bummed me out.
Boobs are good.
Yeah, boobs are. No, I like boobs. Don't get me wrong, but I thought that game relied too heavily on its use of boobs, and not nearly
too much
enough
on the boob.
Yeah, too much boob leaning, not enough like gaming.
And I hear from those with them, they don't like to be leaned on all that much.
Yeah.
So let's not do that.
Although I don't know if this is going to be a trend or not, but Rift is in maintenance, whatever that means. Aeon is still out there, I guess. That's still an MMO people play. I don't know what's going on with Lord of the Rings Online, but I wonder if we're going to start to see another round of some of these that have been around for a while, and they're going to finally go, okay, now we're losing everybody to Final Fantasy. We may as well just shut this shit down. Can't win for losing. I don't know. Be an interesting year.
There was an era of everyone's got an MMO, and now it feels like, I don't know, there are the new ones sort of on the horizon, but it's just so not newsworthy or interesting. Like there's another one like Conquest of the Trials or some.
wait.
Conquest of the Trials.
I want to play that.
I don't know.
A very believable name.
Yeah, it actually sounds about right for 2022.
Mortal Online's a thing. They released a second Mortal Online 2, if you can believe it, and you're just like, who's plays them?
Is it a Mortal
Tibia's
Online?
still around.
Oh my gosh, really? That's still a thing?
Yeah, they're Tibia streamers, dude. It's a scene.
Really?
And it's funny because they're like train wrecks of Steam, but I don't want to be insulting, but like I look at it and I sort of go like, oh, this is a rough neighborhood. On Twitch. But yeah, I think those games. I think you could take the Hello Games approach to your gaming company and be like, we're sustainable. If we don't make a record-breaking profits, we don't all of a sudden cause a panic. Hi, Netflix.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we're sustainable. We don't need to be in the headlines. We have a game. We have people who play it. We make enough money to pay the developers. We put up enough content, keep people playing because they like the game. Yeah. And we're not involved in this whole AAA reaching for the top business. So, a good example, I logged into PlanetSide last night for an hour or two.
Oh.
And
how's that looking?
There's a lot of people playing. Yeah. It's full of people playing. I haven't played in a while, so I suck. I am like absolute dog food at it. But like my kill death ratio is like 6 to 44 deaths or something like that. Ooh. Because the thing PlanetSide is, it simulates war the best, which war is like, get out there, soldier, and then you die as soon as you step out the door. And that's what PlanetSide, you spawn, you're like, where do I go? And then a tank just blows your head off, or some cloaker, like it's literally like hundreds of players on the same server. And then, if you don't spot them in time, you don't just remember your tactics to get around, you die immediately. So it was fun. It was a reminder that PlanetSide is a great experience.
When you get in there, were you expecting it to be kind of empty? And I know we've talked about 2 before, but it's not like it makes the news all the time or anyone's really talking about it. But I'm surprised to hear.
I was curious. Having played PlanetSide 1 for a long time, that game had a core audience that stayed till server shut down. Mm-hmm. And even if you number them in the hundreds or maybe thousands, that's not a big a couple thousand subscriptions is not considered a big MMO.
No.
But, it's still revenue. It's still enough to keep the lights on and the servers running, even if there aren't any new updates. And a new continent was just added to PlanetSide. But you go to the Daybreak Games website, it's a bit of a depressing affair. Like, the games are EverQuest, Champions and Orath, I think, PlanetSide, and H1Z1 or whatever. I'm like, there's like no signs of life in terms of a new game, like, at all. But you log in, and there was hundreds of people playing. And I'm like, they're probably doing fine. They don't. That's. I had a good kick out of playing, except you do got to learn how to stay alive in that game because you walk around a corner and 500 guns are pointed at you. It's literally an MMO FPS. If there's one MMO FPS, this is it. Yeah, there are people everywhere, and it's like being in Stormwind on a busy day or Orgrimmar, except everyone has guns and they're shooting each other. It's a lot of fun, but it can be frustrating when you die a lot because you forget to play cautiously because it's an action shooter game, and when you play Overwatch you want to jump around corners and just do all kinds of kung fu, and in this game, not a good idea.
Well, that was my question. It felt like the big jump to 2 at the time when it released, and it's been years now, but one of the touting points was this is a more proper shooter. Like the shooting mechanics feel more like what you're used to, maybe not Overwatch level or something, but
it's more Call of Duty. It was more tribes in the first one. Now it's like a Call of Duty kind of style game, which is fine.
Yeah,
it's not my favorite, but it relies more on shooting mechanics than it was a little more cheesy, I think is the way to put it. Everyone had jackhammers and just big lasery weapons.
That had a charm.
Orbital strikes are back. I got orbital struck a couple times. I was like, oh shit, we got orbital strikes.
Yeah.
And so I spawned at an AMS, got blown up from that was one death. As I spawned, a big light came from the sky and shot down a laser from a satellite and blew me up. I lived for like 5 seconds. That's what that game is like. You're just like, shit.
Yeah.
And the point is like you're supposed to squad up with people to complete tactical based objectives in groups. So if you're playing solo, you're probably part of the foot zerg, which is a derogatory term for people who don't squad up.
I've never heard this. Foot zerg. That's cool.
The foot zerg. So basically, there are bases in large terrain between bases. So what you do is you get in a vehicle and drive to the base. But noobs go on the foot zerg and they run through the forest without a vehicle because they just log in and spawn and press W and go in the direction that they're supposed to go in, and they're cannon fodder and they're fun to kill and all that. So when you're part of the foot zerg, like which is like 20 noobish players running across a forest, and you roll up in a tank or in an aircraft and you just go, come on, take that foot zerg. And it's like you're almost like, why are they playing? But people find the game fun and that's just the culture of that game.
I'm happy to hear this. I'm happy to hear that it's still doing okay because I don't know.
I mean, but again, just sort of on that front, when you talk about all these old games, some of them have aspirations to be big money-making investments, and if not, we got to shut it down. And some people are like, Hello Games isn't an MMO, but it's definitely taken that approach of, well, we want to make the game good. We're playing this game. We want to be proud of it, and we're still working on the game. And I think Tibia's like that. There are people that work in developing that game. Like there's a team of programmers and artists that need to make new bitmaps for old ass Tibia, and that's it's a thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
They must be paying them with something. It couldn't just be Tibia bucks.
Well, let's see if what Blizzard announced is going to cut into any of those anybody else's MMO time, especially I guess Final Fantasy players like John. I know he's going to have some thoughts on this, but it's called Dragonflight. It's WoW's next expansion. It is featuring the following basic new features. There's a lot of minutia here, but we'll just get to the big stuff. There's a new race called the Drakthir, and a new class called the Evoker. And the trick here is Drakthir will always be Evokers, and Evokers can only be Drakthir. There is no other race combo with that new class at all. It's a little bit like what they did with Elves and Demon Hunters, except it was 2 different kinds of Elves, Horde and Alliance, that could do it, but they never let that go any further. Same deal applies here. The Evoker is a 2-spec class. It can heal, and sort of mid-range DPS is the other thing. And it's a new magic class, which they haven't had in the game in a very long time. I want to say maybe since launch. What's the other magic class I'm not thinking of? Like pure magic, like mage level.
I mean, so you're not monk,
Yeah, you got
arguably
mage,
healer,
warlock,
Mistweaver.
and the vanilla, and I don't know if they've ever added one.
Yeah, none that are just like straight up, here's a magical thing. The idea is
Monk Mystery is a little bit like that, though. It has
a little bit
effect.
That's a fair point. The unique thing here is that all of, and Jeremy mentioned this, some of this is going to be redundant, but all of the powers of the entire Dragonflight, all of the different Dragonflight types, archetypes, are powers that you harness as an evoker. So you're not just simply like a time-stopping Drakthir evoker. You're not just doing fire damage or something like you would from one of the Earth dragons or something. You've got bits and pieces from all of those powers, and you get to harness those and use those in some pretty interesting ways. He described some pretty cool stuff. Actually, it sounded like they put a lot of thought into that class. Let's see what else. It's a hero class. Should mention that starts at level 58 and has its own starting zone. Again, much like Demon Hunters before that, Death Knights way back in the day. They wear mail armor, which is probably good for a whole lot of raiders who are sick of fighting over leather. So I think that's probably pretty good. And those are the main additions there. Let's stop there for a second and just see if any of this sparks any interest in anyone. Like I will say this, back when Legion was going to launch, I was not at all interested in the Demon Hunter. Ended up loving it. Played the hell out of it. Really liked that class a lot. It was really fun. It was super interesting. Did things that no other class in the game did. And I think it was just really focused on fun and good times. And I think they did a great job. Assuming that they nail that, is any of that stuff, like lore-wise, John, is any of this jumping out at you even now? Like, oh, dragons, cool.
More no.
Dragons.
So I guess to roll it back a little bit, I wish that I got excited about seeing dragons the way some people do. And that's going to sound like sour grapes, but it's not. I genuinely wish. There are people that you show them a dragon and they're just immediately like, oh my God, a dragon. And they get so very, very excited about it. And I wish I felt that way about anything. But I just don't like. I see a dragon and I go, all right, what's it doing?
Yeah.
Like I need more. Are we fighting it? What are we doing here? And
that was funny.
And so funny. Like them being like, hey, you get to play a weird ass looking dragon. I was like, okay. Like it didn't really sell me. Let me start with the positive. The abilities look cool as hell.
Dragon.
Like the ability to like jump in the air and do a fire breath across in a big line and stuff like that. That all looks awesome. Like the class genuinely seems like it's going to be a cool, interesting class. I do have concerns that maybe and I had the same concern with Demon Hunters and it ended up not being true. So it might not be true again, but it does feel like, oh, here's the new shiny. We put all the cool stuff here. Sorry, you were a dumbass and picked one of our original classes. They don't get anything cool or new.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of want to see what's happening for the old classes to a degree too, but the abilities look really, really good and really flashy in a great way. The models, though.
Yeah.
You know, in old horror movies.
Yeah, wait,
Scott.
Wait. Play this down.
Oh wait, what's the sound? Which one?
This is dragon beef.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get into how the dragons look. It doesn't matter if they're bipedal or fourpedal.
All right, I'm gonna combine. We're gonna do dragon beef and one other here.
Dragon
beef.
I have the chaff.
And John's got some chaff. All right,
accurate. Here comes the chaff.
All right.
You know, in old horror movies like The Wolfman, how they would do the transition where somebody would just hold very still, like freaking out, and they'd be like, and then the screen would lightly fade and there'd be a little bit more makeup on them.
Yeah.
And then it'd fade and there'd be a little more makeup and then a little more makeup and then they'd be a full Wolfman.
Yeah.
Both the human and the dragon models looked like they cut off the beginning and they cut off the end and they just stuck with the two shitty in between things.
Oh my
You
God.
have a dumbass looking human that looks like they got a bunch of weird shit glued to their face. And you've got the most gangly, awkward-looking dragon that's like, it makes the dragon from the first season of The Witcher look cool. And I'm like, I didn't think anything was going to redeem that thing.
John's going to war today.
Going right to the throat.
Wow.
You brought up that dragon. That's a low blow. I was like, okay, everyone to each his own.
Yeah.
And then you're going to say it looks better than the dragon from The Witcher?
You're not talking
words.
And you're not talking
that dragon sucks.
He's not talking full on dragons. You're talking about this weird hybrid looking thing.
Yeah, he's saying they don't look fully dragon enough or fully human form enough, or is it visage form?
I think my problem is that I look at it and it doesn't read as anything new to me. It looks like somebody put a coat of paint on the Worgen model and then stuck the demon hunter wings on the back and was like, it's dragon. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It looks like the Worgen with a dragon head and demon hunter wings on its back. And they're like, no, it's a dragon.
You talking about its posture or something?
I don't know. It just looks bad. It just looks gangly and awkward. It looks like he's going to middle school. There's just nothing. I don't look at it and go, I want to be that. Now, when I see it do the moves, I'm like, okay, I want to do that.
Yeah.
But when I see it just standing there looking weird, I'm like, nah.
Okay, well, how about... Whoa, geez. Sorry, I'm playing Bo's thing by accident. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Torts with electric guitar.
Shit. Sorry, hold on. Okay, so here it is. I'm showing the chat room this. These are the lady models, and this is their kind of human hybrid form thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They're a little scaly. They got some horns. They got some.
Look as good as anything looks in World of Warcraft in terms of its age and stuff. It's pretty good.
Sure, it doesn't look bad, but I think what John you're talking about is this full dragon form, if I can find it.
Yeah, I'm talking about the dragon form. Yeah. Those, I mean, I don't like. It looks like everybody got dressed up for Mardi Gras, but fine. It's these. I don't like these very much.
I don't like them that much either. I think they're annoying.
Is it? Okay. Is it just because they don't have... Is it their torso? Like, they got big thighs, but their torso is kind of narrow. Like, if you
I've seen a bunch of people try to fix this model, and almost universally the thing they do to try and fix the model is make them beefier. Good Lord, Scott.
I apologize. I don't know why it's doing that. I'll fix that so it doesn't do it again. Sorry. Go ahead.
Why.
But just every time I press buttons, it plays music.
Weird.
I don't understand.
Didn't mean to do that. Anyway,
but every time they try to fix them, they make them beefier. And I think... I think when you hear dragon, you think of a big menacing creature, and these look like lithe, not very menacing lizards. We always tried to kind of figure out in our D&D campaigns. We got Kyle playing a lizard folk, and D&D has lizard folk, and they have these dragon-like beings. And it's like, well, what's the difference between the dragonborn and a lizard folk? I feel like these look like lizard folk, and they don't look like dragonborn. That's the best way I can describe it. They just look like weird, awkward lizards.
Okay. And in the human form, I'm putting up the males now. They seem like possibly these were blood elves that got reworked a little.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say there's shades of cat lady, like they're trying to do their own Final Fantasy 14 cat lady with some of these cat boys here. Yeah. Which is fine. Yeah. I mean, it's popular. So I think these seem good.
Look,
I get what you mean. Like the heads of the Drakthir. Yeah. Because you posted a photo of their head concept art. Mm-hmm. I think they look pretty cool. I think the heads look pretty cool.
Okay.
I think the legs look like typical. I mean, I played a Draenei for a while, so I'm used to thunder thighs. I don't know if that's right. Big old thighs that clap when they walk on both of them. Yeah. And hooves. And it looks like just Worgens have the same thing too. It's it's how they look. So top down, I'm like pretty standard World of Warcraft model for a character. But the heads look great. What about just heads up? Look at the personality on that.
Those heads right there. Yeah. I think they're pretty
adorable.
Good. So I think we can probably narrow down that most of my issues are with the body.
Yeah.
It's the torso, right? The torso looks like it's screaming to me. I don't even want to say teenager, but the tall, lanky guy, right? They all look like the tall, lanky guy. Mm. And maybe you want to play more of a, to plug there will be done. You want more of a Vorel.
Oh yeah, like
you want a chest big enough to put an eyeball in there.
Yeah.
And they don't really have big pecs, you know. Meanwhile, their dragon counterparts are huge, menacing, and imposing. So you don't really. Who's like a famous tall guy that we can just reference for what we need?
Shaquille O'Neal.
No, he's swole.
You're
non-swole tall guy.
I need a thin, gangly tall.
You know what I'm talking? I'm just trying. There's one on the tip of my tongue, like. Doug Jones is a good one. The Star Trek Discovery guy. They got some Doug Jones going on there. See, now that's what we want for the Dracthyr, right? Like, look at those
little buffer.
There is muscle in there.
Yeah,
and there's some abs in there, and you know it's World of Warcraft. The humans are swole as shit. I don't know if they still are, the human males. Like I remember when World of Warcraft, everyone was an Arnold Schwarzenegger, basically.
Yeah.
Chest-wise, and you kind of think, well, I think maybe the thin body type is okay, but it's only the thin body type, right? Like maybe a few more body shape. World of Warcraft struggles with this. Yeah. They don't put enough options for anything in their game. And after you've played Black Desert and Lost Ark, and even probably, what's that one there? The Elder Scrolls.
The Elden Scrolls.
Whatever the. You know, the Bethesda one.
ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. Yes.
You know, we're kind of used to being like, yeah, video games can have options, and we know instead of putting like 8 options, you could put 64 options in your game. I think. I mean, I don't want to tell them. Maybe there's reasons it's limited.
They could, and there's probably old.
They're always Blizzard. The game's been out for like 15 years or something like that. Like. You skimp on the character creation. You really do at this point. That's something I kind of... And this would be an example of that.
Yeah.
You want a swole-chested Dracthyr. You're muted, by the way.
I do.
No,
am I?
You're not anymore. Not anymore.
Hi. No, and this isn't the end of the world. Like, I'm not saying, well, I'm not in on this expansion because those dragons look stupid. But I just, like, I didn't go, oh, yes, new race, new class, so good. Like, I'm going to play this. Like, it just didn't get me excited. Yeah. I was just like, okay, the human forms look kind of dumb, and the dragon forms I really don't like. And I don't know if it's worth playing a character I don't like the look of to do the abilities that I think look cool.
Sure.
I can't stand that purple boy.
You're not into the purple guy? I thought you'd like him.
You know, it looks vaguely cat earish.
Yeah.
See, it's the green one that bugs me. That's the one that bugs me the most.
The green one is an archetype, right? The green one is like handsome and suave, and I'm a dragon. Would you like an emerald dream?
No, the green one,
the purple guy's like going to a
nobody
rave.
would tell him.
He's like, I need some water. I'm gonna do some and then we're gonna. And he just looks vaguely Catboy to me, and I'm like, that's not my jam. I'm sure
I don't like the yellow one either, because it looks like Anakin Skywalker came back from the dead, and they're like, we were able to bring you back, but we had to breed you with a lizard to do it.
Or just like it's like a bad skin condition this guy's got.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It looks like he's wearing a hat.
Yeah,
not like it's a part of him. It's like I killed a dragon and put his scalp upon my.
You're talking about the red boy?
No,
the yellow one.
Yellow guy.
Yellow one.
Yeah.
But he's a type. It's fine.
He needs some.
Like you got. I think you got to separate between like not for me, but looks fine, versus just.
He needs some cream to take care of that forehead. There's some trouble there.
Yeah, I mean, all of this I'm saying is not for me.
Yeah.
I
not
don't
even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
No, I want to. But I just don't.
You want it to be.
I mean, I get the chest thing. I think like it's a chest for the dudes, and maybe even the women. We can make a couple that they're more built like Ivor and Assassin's Creed. Like give me some fridge built. Mm-hmm. It's always why does everyone got to look Coke bottle style? But,
you know why though? It's this. I'm telling you, whether we like it or not, Final Fantasy 14 is having an impact. Most of these haircuts look like something out of that game. Most of these expressions.
Yeah, it's true. It is having an impact for sure.
Yeah,
but they have more. I think they have more options than. Well, yeah, they do because I can even color my eyes differently in that.
Oh, they have way more than that. Yeah, way more.
Yes. So, that's always a tough. It's always a tough thing with them. But that's Blizzard. We sort of understand World of Warcraft to be that way. So if the final verdict, John, is I don't like it, then
I just don't like it. But I think
they're not as bad as the dragon in The Witcher. That thing was.
I don't know.
I felt like, wow, what a great production I'm watching too. Like, oh, they didn't have a lot of money.
Oh no, money. Yeah.
Was
that they were rich?
Was that the one in the first season or the second season? You talking about the
one.
first
I
one?
guess the reason it reminded me of The Witcher is because when I saw this, and I'm dead serious, I'm not trolling. People think I am. My first thought was, maybe Blizzard just isn't getting as much money to put things into WoW as they used to, because it looked like recycled, touched up models, and I was like, normally you get new race, new class, and like it's a big explosion of new, and this just looked like, they threw some paint on some stuff and called it a new thing for us. Like, and it was that like budget feel that I got to it that made me think, it's kind of like The Witcher, because that is how I felt when I saw the dragon in The Witcher. I was like, oh, we didn't have Game of Thrones money clearly when this guy showed up.
Those Game of Thrones dragons are badass. Those turned out real good.
So you're right. It's probably not as bad as that, but it is the same thought that I had when I saw them.
Sure. Well, not more importantly, but in addition to this expansion is all about what they're calling dragon riding or dragon riding skill. It's essentially the big mechanic, the system of this expansion. You'll be flying right away, or more like gliding, because actual flight is going to take time to train up and get to where you want it to be. And they've added a bunch of physics and momentum and stuff to that sort of thing. On paper, I think that sounds rad. I think I would not actually like it in practice, because it sounds like it's the kind of gating that will annoy me. And I'm not trying to compare it to previous gating or anything else. Gating in MMOs is as old as MMOs themselves, but just the idea that, well, I can kind of glide right now, but most of the time I'm on the ground and with a ground mount. Oh, now I can sort of flap up and do things, but it's still not as cool as it's going to be. But I'll get there. I just don't know if I want my travel so tied into the system.
Hopefully they make it fun. It depends on what kind of a grind.
It needs to be fun, yeah. That's true.
Like if you lock it at the end of your questing, then probably it's all right.
Yeah.
But if it's like, well, you have to turn in, the reason I left Battle for Azeroth was like, you've done all the quests, or you've hit max level, but you don't get to do anything until you reach max level with all the reps. And I was like, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Like, that's really my only issue with World of Warcraft. I was enjoying Battle for Azeroth at the time, but
I love my favorite part of these games is always the leveling experience. I always have a great time with that. I'm sure if I play this, it'll end up being mostly for that. Nothing that was shown or talked about any kind of end game has really got me too excited, because at the end of the day, it's still sort of this dragon riding thing, which is now it's your Legion weapon or your necklace from BFA or your whatever the hell we did last time. It's just another extension of that. Fine, whatever. But the big fun for me is all that initial story and exploration and new zones and all of that. So who knows? One of the concerns I have is a bunch of these screenshots of the actual zones that they're showing so far, I think look not good. And by that, I mean, maybe I'm having that moment like John has with these models. I'm kind of having the same problem with the zones. I think the zones look like circa 2008. And you might say, well, Scott, this is, it's still World of Warcraft. You're not going to jump leaps and bounds. Yeah, but the last expansion and the one before that and the one before that, all the way back to Mists of Pandaria, they're beautiful and they're huge upgrades from their previous games. And they just kept looking better and better and better. This doesn't. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I thought this, weird. To me, it looked par for the course. Like it didn't look, I didn't see it and go, oh, wow. Like I wasn't blown away. But to me, it was like, it looks as good as all World of Warcraft zones do. Like, I don't know if I've ever looked at a World of Warcraft zone and gone 100%, oh, I hate that. Yeah. I just absolutely cannot stand how that looks. Like, I feel like they've always looked pretty good. And I feel like this meets that quality. But it didn't, you're right, nothing made me go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It is back in Azeroth, so I do think there is a probably artistic desire to make it feel grounded to that world and not like, you're not on an alien planet. But as we've seen going from continent to continent and all of that, like they can get away with doing some pretty radical things even within Azeroth itself.
True.
That only goes so far. I think it's called the Azure Expanse, looks pretty good. That's the one that seems to kind of call back to Grizzly Hills, and it's got snow. I'm a sucker for snow, as you know. Yeah. So like I see that and I'm pretty excited about that. But I didn't think anything they were showing seemed groundbreaking, but it didn't seem openly bad to me.
Yeah, I would never call it ugly, because I think they do incredible stuff with an old engine. Nobody else even comes close to this, but I don't know if it's the trees or the draw distance, something just feels expansions ago.
Didn't they say they upped the draw distance too?
Well, they sure like to fog it up anyway.
I'm curious, because I've noticed that too. Looking at a lot of the screenshots, I'm noticing the draw distance more, and yet they said they moved it up, which makes me kind of wonder. Well, I don't know if you're using your space right, but I know there's a lot of people that are thinking these zones. I mean, they've said these zones are a lot bigger. Probably on the back of the whole dragon riding thing, because they know we're going to be swooping around and all of that. But if the zone quality suffers because of it, I'm not sure that's a great trade-off. I mean, dragon riding, I think, just to give my thoughts on that real quick.
Yeah.
Dragon riding, if you want to give me a system that's going to be the grindy system I do over an expansion, customizing a dragon's a pretty cool option to give. I'd much rather that than a stupid necklace. That sounds way, way better to me.
Yeah.
So in theory, I'm good with that. I definitely need to know more information about it, because a lot of times with these things, it feels like they took away something so they can give it right back to you, which they always do with flying. That's the case every expansion. Flying's gone. Now jump through a bunch of hoops and we'll eventually give it back to you.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of people going, hey, we're going to be able to fly right out of the gate. And 100%, I don't think that's true.
No.
I think they've already alluded to the fact that you're going to be at best gliding to begin with.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, does this feel like an improvement over what they've done for flying in previous expansions, or does it just feel like a different way of doing the exact same thing is going to hinge on whether I think it's ultimately good or not? I think it has the most potential to be an amazing system, or the system that everybody complains about.
Yeah. I mean, it could end up being both, right? Because initially, I think we were all more okay with some of those systems in certain expansions than we were in the long run. Legion being the exception, where we pretty much liked that the whole way through.
Yeah.
The necklace had so many problems. The biggest problem with the necklace was it was an item you really couldn't see. It was supposed to be this so important, but you don't see it hanging off your dude the way that your giant weapon hung out in Legion. That always rubbed me wrong, because it just felt like, okay, well, it's just numbers. There's no actual tangible thing in this world. It's just some little fake thing that's on me that I assume is on me. It's on my character sheet, must be on me, but you'd never know if you looked at me. It kind of annoyed me. Let's talk about, there's a bunch of other stuff. The talent tree over. No,
I want to talk about talent trees.
Oh, you do? Let's do that then.
Yeah, because here's the problem, Scott, is people always think I'm nothing but negative about World of Warcraft, and I have a lot of concerns and questions about this expansion. One thing I personally feel with 100% certainty is that talent tree revamp is a good thing. This is the most excited I am about anything that they announced.
Yeah.
And it's to me, if you were like, John, how do you feel about Dragonflight? Does it bring you back to the game? No. But the thing that gets me the closest is that they're going back to talent trees like this. I think this is an incredibly smart move, especially when you look at what the pain points of previous expansions have been, artifact power and Azerite power and all of that business. This is a way for them to keep that stuff permanent and continue to matter, assuming they execute it well. That's kind of the default you have to say about anything, but assuming they execute it well, this is a way to really customize your character in a cool way, to be able to give people new things each level or each expansion without having to turn around and yank the rug out from under them. And again, I'm not 100% sure, but judging by what I'm seeing in the screenshots, it looks like you're going to be able to save a bunch of builds.
Yeah,
and it looks like you're going to be able to switch on the fly more or less, which to me, because a lot of people go, well, we had this before and they got rid of it, and they got rid of it for a reason. But they made it such a pain in the ass to switch before. So everybody just went to Icy Veins and went, what's my build?
Yeah.
And they plugged in their build and that was it. But if you can switch on the fly, then there will still be people that do that, but there is no reason why I can't go, well, this is how I want to play the game. And then if I have to get serious to do a dungeon or a raid, I'll save this and I'll switch to it. It's no big deal.
He confirmed that in our interview, though. They will be builds that you will. He did say, I did say, is this tied to transmog at all? Because I'll bet people are asking for that. And he goes, oh, like 10 days ago they've been asking for that. So it sounds like something.
His answer was -10 was his.
Yeah, was that what it was? Yeah, it was something like that.
He's like, what are the? You're like, what are the chances? And he's like, -10.
Yeah, I said like how many? Oh, that's what it was. I said how many minutes till somebody demands that, and he says -10. But the ability to save builds for your talent tree spec and your class spec and your talent spec, or no, what was it? Class spec and your there's two trees.
You were like transmogs tied to talent builds. That's going to be a thing,
right? But the way it is, the way it is right now, though, there's two trees, and one's called one's I can't remember what they're called.
Specialization and talents.
I guess so. But anyway, yes, the idea is that you'll save those. And they'll be hot swappable, and you won't have to go to some trainer and then dump all the points and then go add the points back in manually. F that noise. That would be terrible.
The Diablo 3. It's the Diablo 3 route, where if you're out of combat, you can switch things up.
Yeah, and in this case, you can switch very complicated things up by just flipping a switch and say, I want the build I call John's Happy Time or whatever.
You can still do that with armor sets too, right? So if you have an armor set that's like it's not for transmog, but I think you can save actual armor.
That's already a thing, yeah, I believe.
Yeah. So if you have a build that complements a certain set bonus, then boom, you press the button to switch your gear, because that's all in Diablo 3. You have an armory now for switching gears depending on what you want to do, and then you have your. Well, you can't. Oh, yeah, that actually does it all in one shot. So you switch your abilities and runes and gear all with one button press in Diablo. So it'll be 2 button presses, I guess.
Yeah, which isn't a big deal.
Or maybe a macro. It's.
Why not?
There's
it seems like a good thing to have.
Yeah.
The people who play this game play it a lot. They play a lot of alts. This is just time saving for them. So when they get on their alt and they want to do spec 3 of their 4 different choices, then go for it. You don't want to spend a lot of time. That's an obstacle to fun.
I agree. And there'll probably be mods that support some kind of connectivity between transmog and talents. And even if they don't let them do that, you might be able to have tools on sites that let you import XML data that is basically the build of the moment.
Their own screenshots had share and import as features on the button. So it looks like there's going to be a very easy way if somebody's like, oh, dude, you're doing an awesome job tanking. What's your tanking build? That they might be able to click a button and share a build with you immediately.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is cool. I have high hopes for it. I mean, obviously they have to execute on it correctly, but this stuff was already in the game. Like that's the thing, is a lot of people are being very skeptical about it, but they were already doing this. They just were putting it as temporary systems that lasted a single expansion. Like you had your generic from Mists of Pandaria talents that were just evergreen. And then it was like, okay, well, here's artifact power and all your powers built on that. That was the equivalent of talents. Like you leveled that up and it's like, okay, you do 5% more crit now. Like it was just being presented to you a different way. So now it's something that's not going away at the end of the expansion, and you're not going to have that that cool ability that made my class feel fun is now gone.
Right.
And now you get to just lock it in and have it. And as well as something to do while you're leveling up, instead of congratulations, you leveled up. You unlocked the ability to go to a dungeon.
Right. I'm putting up a screenshot here now so people can get a visual in the chat if you hadn't seen it. That's basically it. It looks a little bit of a cluster, but as progression goes, these things make sense as you build your character. It may not be super sensible the day one when you start, but as Jeremy said, they want to keep, they don't want people to log into the game with a new expansion and go, this doesn't play like my character ever did. So a lot of that stuff will just sort of be there by default, and then you get to go tweak it, change it, do whatever you want. They're no longer precious about how you have to respec, and I think that's good.
That's good.
The UI overhaul has some connection to this. A lot has changed in the technology and otherwise of UI, and they're changing it. So a lot of scalable stuff, customization. I think it looks nice. Super simplified in a lot of ways. That's my jam. I like that. I like less clutter. And
I've been playing an MMO that doesn't allow mods, and let me tell you, not having mods is a wonderful thing. So anything that moves us in the direction of not having mods, I am 100% for.
Yeah, we'll get some emails on that. But I agree with you, technically. I prefer a modless experience, personally. I just think if the game is good enough at all the things it does, I prefer no mods. But this is a big step in that direction, and it's the first major overhaul to that since like 18 years. As Jeremy said, it's been 18 years since they've done anything to the core UI, and that's a long time. That's a really long time.
I've heard some criticism saying that this is a bit of a I don't know if anybody still uses this term, like a nothing burger feature, because everybody uses customizable UIs anyway, so them doing this is kind of a waste of time, seeing as everybody's just going to use a mod anyway. I don't know if I would go that far. I do see that point, right? Like you putting time and effort into a feature that's not going to impact that many people. But I still think the ability to change the default UI and customize it the way you want and not have to rely on the mods should be in the game. And just because people may not use it doesn't mean that that's not the way it should be.
That might be what talking heads say, but this might be one of those things that's based on data. Like they send out surveys and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And just see people's pattern, like what's the reason for leaving? Too complicated.
Oh, did you
see? Like, the super WoW user is like, look at how they've simplified things. So bad. And you and I might be like, we liked it the way it was before, but sure. Although I don't really, the one thing about this game, about this announcement, I should say, first of all, is this the cinematic for it, or is this like, how Legion had a teaser where they showed Illidan and a gem?
No, this is it. This is the cinematic, man. This is it.
So this cinematic, I don't want to say bad things about it. It looks good as always, but it's very meh, at least if you're not already a World of Warcraft player.
What about this idea that they have named this character Stony Danza? What if you knew that? Then how do you feel?
No.
Stony Danza.
This is why, Scott, I needed you to let me talk glowingly about talent tree revamps and UI overhaul.
Yeah.
Because all those WoW fans that are like, look at John saying nice things about the game, I'm about to burn every bridge.
Oh no, the bridges are coming down. Okay.
This cinematic is the worst cinematic they've ever done. This is the bottom of the barrel of Warcraft cinematic.
You are not okay.
If we're listing favorites, it's definitely on low tier.
Well, let's be clear too. This is not you saying the technical prowess here is subpar. That's not what you're saying.
No, it's beautiful. It sounds good. They're presenting a story in a compelling way, but it didn't tell me much about the expansion. It seems to hinge on this memeability, and clearly very memeability, seeing as we've already nicknamed him Stony Danza. Like, it's a story I've seen. They did this with the May cinematic. Oh, she's got to triumph over harsh weather conditions and issues and overcome burdens. Don't we all love May?
Now, you leave May out of this.
I'm not saying it was bad, but I'm saying they've done it again. He's like Zappy Boy 2.0.
No, you've gone too far.
They're like, look at this stone man. Isn't it cool the way he triumphs over these hardships? It's like, yeah, but that's the same story you told me with Zappy Boy, the last meme lord that you invented for a cinematic. Like, I
don't think
I get it.
He
stood there very stoically. Oh, they totally did. They were tweeting about his meme ability within minutes of the cinematic hit.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of.
They leaned super heavy into he's kind of cute and endearing looking, and look, he's got to do his duty, and look, he's gonna go up and Thor himself on this crystal, and it's not terrible. I just feel like I've seen it 100 times, and the only thing I see in the back of my mind when I watch this cinematic is a bunch of people going, wait till the community sees this good stone boy we've made, and the way they cheer for him. And I hate it. I hate it so much.
I knew you were going to have this take.
For the record, like, I sort of agree that this is about as meh. I'm like, this is for people who already play World of Warcraft.
Oh, 100%.
Like, if you're trying to bring in new players, imagine Elden Ring was like, hey, there's a statue that walks around. Like, what? Like, they're going to show the cool bits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this is like, this is a cool bit. He's a watcher, right? It's a cool bit for someone who already knows what that is. Otherwise, I'm going like, why is this exciting? Like, that's sort of way I looked at it. And the dragons at the end were all right, but it was literally, I think it was meant to be like, look, dragons, what a surprise.
Well, some nice fan service. Got Alex Straza there, grabbing him before he shatters, and
I do wonder how this cinematic would have landed if we didn't know that the expansion was called Dragonflight and see big art of Alex Straza beforehand.
Oh, that's a good
point. I didn't know it was called Dragonflight, so I can tell you.
Because I was gonna say, I was just waiting for dragons the whole time. I was like, I
realized after it was leaked, but I don't pay that much attention to WoW news so much. So I was like, I even forgot there was an event. I was like, oh, there's an event. I was like, oh shit. So I ended up watching it, but I was just waiting for when the good part was going to come. Because usually when as Blizzard does these trailers, it's like there is some build up, there is a lead up. Diablo 4 trailer was like just some weirdo for a while. And then you're like, oh shit, it's Lilith, splooge. And like, like this one, I was like, okay, they're showing this boring statue stuff because I'm about to get messed up. Like this cinematic's about to take me by my ears and throw me off a cliff.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen.
No,
I was like, oh, so the stone guy did his job. Okay, great.
I understand we can't build a cinematic around talent trees are coming back, but I just watched it and I was like, what part of this is getting me excited about the expansion? Because none of it did.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So of all of the ones, I think the artistry on display here has always been top notch, top grade, top shelf, but I was trying to rank them in my head. And in terms of just sort of pure hype, I think it's hard to deny the first cinematic in 04. It still has a lot of punch to it. It's like, whoa, look what we're doing.
Well, and it sells you on the world and the fight between Horde and Alliance. Like the vanilla one is the oldest, and yet still I feel like it hits that like rhythm so well of, you got the build up, you see the Horde and the Alliance characters separate, and then it hits that big musical bump and they start fighting each other.
Yeah.
Like it's really good. It's really effective.
It's also insane how good it still looks despite its age. And they've certainly gotten better at this. No doubt. You compare them and you can see differences, but a lot like Pixar movies. It's like, well, the original Incredibles looks incredible, but have you seen Encanto or something? They're not Pixar, but whatever. Seen a more modern one? It's mind-blowing how much they've learned since, but it still holds up and looks amazing. So I'd still think I'd put that at number one for all those reasons. Not looking at it just technically, but yeah, when they tell the best stories, they're at their best. And this is fine. I'm not going to say I hate it, but I'm with you, John, on there's just a very pedestrian thing being told here. And they do kind of cheat at the end with like, hey, what do we do here at Blizzard when there's a big moment at the end of our trailer? The music has a crescendo, a dragon goes gung gung on top of a building and then goes roar, and then show the logo. We've seen this 100 times.
Yeah, that's Cataclysm, that's Wrath of the Lich King when the Sindragosa goes roar.
Yeah, it's just kind of that,
And that's a badass moment. And I think this was meant to be a little more positive. Like, I don't know if that was explicitly intended, but the game's called World of Warcraft, so we are expecting more, but there was a sense of just positivity about this trailer, in terms of no one's fighting anybody.
Yeah.
And no one's fighting anybody or plotting the demise of other people. It's like, could you do your job, please? Yeah, I'll do my job. Good man. And then it's like, oh shit, time to do the job I had. Yeah. He does the job, and they're like, yay, we're back. And, it's like, it's very lovey-dovey, not very Warcrafty at all. And this is your hype trailer. This is the 2 minutes of cinematic that everyone's going to see, whether they play your game or not. And you're kind of following up, like, the Sylvanas versus Bolvar cinematic is pretty bad. Like, I like that.
That's good.
Yeah. No Shadowlands.
Forget about where that storyline went. That cinematic was
just
cool.
alone. Like, I didn't play Shadowlands. I have no context. I know there's a guy called the Jailer, and I know Anduin continued his campaign of suckage throughout throughout Azeroth. And Uther went blue. That's about all I got from everything. And Sylvanas is apparently a poorly written character in the game. Those are the things I know about Shadowlands. That's it.
Yeah.
And
cool cinematic.
Like she sort of was written one way and then completely 180'd. But I still love that trailer. I'm like, I loved my Shadowlands experience. That trailer, I watched it like recently.
100%
just randomly. I'm like, I watch Blizzard trailers all the time. They're amazing.
They're amazing.
All you need is that 2 minutes, and you get context, story, you get chills.
That Diablo, that's still that Diablo 4 trailer is one of the greatest things ever made by anybody ever, and it's just incredible to watch. But I go back to Mists of Pandaria all the time for some reason. That cinematic is the one that gives me chills. That's the one that I actually get.
And I would say that this one is the closest to the Mists as far as feel.
Oh yeah,
because Mists of Pandaria doesn't tell a big story. It just sort of introduces you to here's what's going on. Here's where we are. Get ready to learn about this place. Right. And in a way, that's exactly what this one does.
Chen is badass.
I felt joy during the Mists of Pandaria one, and I just found myself getting annoyed.
Because when Chen Stormstout starts talking about family and starts talking about hope and home and all this, when that voiceover kicks in and it shows the vista, the mist clears, those two dopey Alliance and Horde guys are standing there slack-jawed, and you just see the vista of that place open up. I get tingly, and when he like licks his lips and squares his cool ninja hat down with the camera right before the logo rolls, it doesn't get any better than that. Right now I'm having chills thinking about it. Literally, look at my skin.
It's good. Miss trailer is amazing. Everyone's allowed a miss every now and then. I think tonally they were going for something constructive, positive, blah, blah, blah. And it's just not, dragons. Like even Final Fantasy 14 has like people.
Ugly dragons, yeah.
Well, okay, that is, yes. But, like think about that trailer for a second. It's arguably like good CG, but not as good as Blizzard quality that we've known to expect.
Yeah.
But it still had people fighting and talking and telling a story and, sweet anime soundtrack. Look, this was it was literally like, here's a guy made of stone. That's why I asked if it was a teaser trailer or an announced trailer, because Legion, we might be seeing something new. Legion had a trailer.
That trailer's so good.
Illidan and a gem. And later on, we got, I think, a proper Legion trailer.
We did.
With Varian. So part of me wants to reserve judgment on that. I wasn't sure how hard John was like, I'll go hard on this before even, I'm like, maybe we should temper our expectations on this trailer because it might be just a longer announced trailer than what we're used to. And
could be,
they've done other cinematics throughout an expansion before. Maybe there's a little more something in the pipeline because this is very non-story. And since Wrath, the trailers have had some context or grounding in what's going on.
And I think Legion, you're right, was the first time where they started doing multiple of the CG quality trailers. Like we started seeing several an expansion. Like we got so many during Battle for Azeroth. It was insane.
Yeah.
So we might get a launch trailer where one of these dragons lands on a night elf and rips his head off.
Here's the other thing I will say. This might be a case. I'll revisit my thoughts on this later.
Yeah.
But this might be like Cats for me, not Cats the musical, just Cats in general, where it's like, I don't think I like Cats because people who like cats are annoying. But in reality, I just don't like people who like cats. And cats are actually fine.
Well, we know you don't like anything. You established that right at the front.
This trailer might actually be good and not as memey as I think it is. It might just be all the people that are like, Stony Danza, huh? And I'm just like, that's bugging me. And I'm projecting my frustration with the memes I'm seeing.
Are you taking Stony Danza for granted? Is that what you're? See what I did?
See what
I did there? I kept it going.
Ding, ding, score one for Scott.
Yeah. See.
Nice one.
No, you're making. Sorry, continue your point. You're making.
No, that's fine. It's fine. So I don't know. It's just it was one of those things where it didn't really land for me because I felt like I had seen this in multiple Blizzard cinematics before, in multiple formats, and it just feels like simple. Let's try and get someone invested very quickly, and I think, maybe hopelessly, I've wished for deeper storytelling from Blizzard. And I understand you've only got a little cinematic. Try and make me care about Stone Boy as quickly as humanly possible, is your goal. But it's just like, I would rather you show me a character that I do care about and tell me a compelling story about them than try and introduce something, make me care about them real quick, show me that they're doing a very good job and are a very good Stone Boy, and then, wrap up your trailer. It just felt it felt artificial.
Well, here's the original line. I'm going to show the chat as I play it. Imagine him saying this. Originally, this is what the audio was right here. Okay, he looks up after waking up.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what he says. I think they should have gone with that cut. No. That would have been a better cut, I think. Maybe stuck with that. Jesus. Well, all right. So we got a quick related email here I wanted to read before we move on. Dark Shaggy wrote in. I like to think that's like some kind of dark universe version of Shaggy who killed and ate Scooby-Doo and wrecked the van and who knows what all.
You went very dark.
Yeah, the Dark Shaggy. Anyways, what he says, "Hey guys, I always love the show. I just wanted to know your feelings on WoW with the new expansion and changes coming. After the Activision Blizzard lawsuit, I quit WoW. I couldn't support it when I had a daughter of my own in the way. I think he meant on the way.
In the way.
She was in the way. She was on the way.
Writing an email.
It's a weird typo. Anyway, and if she was ever put in a position like that, I played WoW for 15 years and always daydreamed of playing WoW with my family, me, my wife, my daughter, my dad. So do any of these changes excite you? And most importantly, have you heard or seen any changes happening at the company that you think makes all of this worth going back to play WoW?" So it's a two-pronged question. First of all, there's some people who are annoyed with me this week because they're like, "You ended the instance over it," which is not true. But they have all these assumptions about why I ended the instance or why I don't talk about WoW as much as we used to or any of that. None of that was true. I'm super pissed at the company and Activision in particular. I still think there's a ton they need to do. They've made some good movement. There's a lot of talk internally that they're happy about this possible Microsoft buyout. You guys heard, if you've really actually listened to me, you've heard me say it all. It doesn't mean that we're not going to pay attention to when things come out of Blizzard, including announcements like this. Obviously, we're talking about it today. So that will continue happening. We'll do interviews, and we'll still hold them to the fire on this other stuff when it's appropriate. However, did anything I see, even if you took, so this is where I wanted to come with this email. Even if you took out all of the lawsuit stuff and the issues around it, it's hard to ignore. I know that. I haven't played a Blizzard game since last July when it dropped. Okay, so I know how a lot of you feel. I haven't played any of it. Did what I saw on the 19th make me go, ooh, gotta check back in on WoW. Can't wait to play that again. After my 18 straight years of playing it? The answer is complicated. I'm curious about some of it, but some of it's just a little superficial at this point. We don't know the depth or detail, so we just kind of know on the surface of what they're planning. And there was nothing here that made it a must-play, I'll tell you that. There's enough here to make me consider it or think about it or maybe check in, maybe do the leveling or something and not worry about endgame. But all of that aside, I don't think there was anything here that was so earth-shattering that it made me just gotta get back in as soon as that thing comes out. I didn't feel that way. So.
Yeah, I mean, I quit WoW long before the Blizzard thing was, the controversy around Activision Blizzard came out. It isn't why I quit the game. We ended up our WoW show not long before, but before all of that came out as well. So that wasn't the reason for any of it. It certainly didn't do them any favors in my book, but I don't blame anybody if that's the reason you don't want to play. Like, to me, what Activision Blizzard did, it makes me not want to play their games, is just as good a reason as I don't think talent trees are going to be good, so I'm not going to play. Like, it doesn't really matter what your reason is. Yeah. You don't have to fight for the best moral reason or the best reason to or not to do something. So to me, that was never a part of it, but I respect anybody that is their reason for it. Like, that's fine. So I don't want the emailer to think I'm putting them down for that.
Oh yeah, but I don't want to discount that either. I mean, I haven't played for the exact same reason that he's talking about, but my brain has always been, we'll see what they do. Maybe they'll improve things, and then maybe it will improve my attitude about playing them. Because right now I just don't like how it feels to play them. Yeah. I feel bad when I play them. So that's me, though. I am not prescribing this to anyone else, and I think that's kind of what you're saying. Everybody have your own, and it's fine. Everyone have their own thing.
Yeah,
it's totally fine.
I mean, like, to me, it's always been a case of most companies, if not all companies, do some pretty shitty things. If you're going to try and avoid based on morality, you're not going to have a lot of stuff in your life, realistically.
Yeah.
But whatever the reason, doesn't matter. Did this win me over? back to WoW. Probably not. Like, here's the thing. I would say this is a good WoW announcement. If I was still playing World of Warcraft today and I saw this, I'd probably be pretty hyped. But I spent a lot of years doing a WoW podcast going, it'd be cool if WoW did this. It'd be cool if WoW did this. It'd be cool if WoW did this. And I didn't realize it, but I was basically explaining a different game. And I found that in a different game. And so now I'm pretty happy. And nothing that they showed really made me go, oh yeah, I want to go back to that. That said, whenever this comes out, we didn't get a release date.
No.
Beta
soon.
Nothing else is going on. I might give it a go. Like, there's nothing here that off-put me so much that I'm like, no, I will never play this game. But it is a $15 a month sub plus buying the game itself.
Yeah, that ain't going to be free as far as I know.
Yeah, so I would have to be a bit bored. I'm not going to race out and pre-order it and play it, but I'm not opposed to it. Like, I think if you are into WoW and you like World of Warcraft, like, I think this was a pretty good showing for you, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. Bo, how do you feel in the end on all that?
I mean, for the guy to play, or
you or anyone, like, did this do anything to you to make you go, oh, I haven't been since Battle for Azeroth, but I'm back in,
it just brings up the age-old question. Like, I really dig World of Warcraft. I would like to play it. There's too many systems in there that I don't like that outweigh the desire to play it, and I don't think there's anything they can do. And it's not unique to WoW alone. It's like the MMO space entirely. Like reputation bars, achievements, time-gated content, more than is necessary. Obviously, I don't mind patches that update content periodically. Let me play my way if I'm only going to play for a month and enjoy the story and get my experience out of it. Don't make me play. Like, don't pad there's stat padding with daily logins, and it's just so obvious. And I'm not there for them to farm.
Yeah.
So, and that's not just this game. It's Black Desert. It's Lost Ark. It's you name it. That's AAA MMO's status, and it's I find it insulting.
Oh wow!
And like I find it insulting towards my time when they don't say like, yeah, he's just gonna play for a month and just be fine with that. And they want the daily login people, and I just feel like they're farming people. So that's a philosophical reason not to like it, which I don't want to mix in, because you may be a lot of people. I've talked to people who are like, I don't care about this stuff. Some people think I'm off the deep end, and it may very well be the case.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would talk to your family and find out what they would like to do and be willing to compromise. Maybe it's not the game that you want to play, but it's a game everyone finds fun. Mm-hmm. I recommend Valheim.
That's
my favorite MMO.
I'm glad you brought that up. We have an email about that in a sec. Because Valheim is, for a lot of people, is becoming that thing for them. It is scratching some of those similar itches, and games like it. I guess I didn't articulate this very well, and I want to make sure this is also clear. So I have a problem, right now I just have a problem playing Blizzard games, and I do want to see change in that company and all of that. But what I didn't see at this reveal was anything that convinces me that anything past leveling is going to be radically different. And I'm not saying they have to be. I'm saying for me to be 18 plus years into a game, I need to start doing something different. And it can't be the same stuff. And largely it will be. It's going to still be dungeons and mythics and blah, 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 all those things. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm good.
If you could do it for a month when they have a new release, maybe that's all you're buying a box.
Yeah. And if
I do that, spending $40 to $60, they should,
Yeah, and if they do and if that happens, you know what? I could see myself saying, I want to see this content. I want to see this new class, and I want to see these 10 levels, and I want to hear that story. And if they supplement it with a bunch of other cinematics the way they did with BFA, which I loved all that stuff, really thought that was my favorite part of BFA, was waiting for these small cinematics to land. I love that stuff. And even when Sylvanas yelled at all the horde and took off and sliced what's his name, that was great.
Yeah,
that was great stuff. They dropped the ball on that hard in this last expansion. But my point is, like, I'd be interested in all of that, but I want to do something different. And there's so many games now that let you do different things at all levels, different kinds of games. Like, we're just not in the same place we were 18 years ago, where you could just say, well, here's the game. This is the game I'm going to play, and that's all I'm going to play. And so, for me, I need to know that there's There's more than just grind something when you're done. I don't want to grind anymore.
Online personas are different too. I don't think it's something we talk about as much, but when I played PlanetSide 1, there's no social media. I could have looked like anything. So when I logged into PlanetSide, I was Gorath. Yeah. And that was fun. I was playing a fictional character. Now everyone's got a Twitter. Everyone's their social media profile now. I feel like it comes between you and a lot of people in their online video game persona, because when you're in an MMO now, you're not. There's even a hint of RP, even if it's just with yourself, feeling like I'm this person in this world and people know me as this. It's like there's a fantasy element to it, and I just feel so disconnected from that feeling I had back in even in early WoW days when I was pretending that was my character and nobody knew me but for my name.
Sure.
I just don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of the same. And I don't know, maybe there's a whole generation ready to dive into WoW.
Maybe it's an age thing. Maybe I just grew out of that. I don't know.
Very
I'll
possible.
say this, like, whether it's the best expansion in, probably Wrath or Legion, or the worst expansion in Warlords of Draenor, there hasn't been a single WoW expansion that I haven't loved the leveling experience.
Yeah,
every single one, even Shadowlands.
I agree.
I have enjoyed the leveling up and the story, and then I get to the end and it immediately plummets off a cliff for me. But that initial little bit is universally a good experience, and always has been.
It always has been. I have no doubt this will be really great in that way. They're really good at that. They defined it, and they do it really well. And I'm sure it'll be that part will be great. So now you just got to ask yourself, will that be worth $49 and a $15 1 month sub? And maybe it will. Yeah. I think it might be
maybe
for me.
You get a free month. Maybe,
yeah.
Right?
That's
you
true.
Probably get free 30 days and a level boost. You're probably good for a month. The problem is they wouldn't want to keep you around. Like that's
of course.
I don't even mind keeping, like, if a WoW life cycle was like I play a lot during the first month or two, then I come back for content drops. Even for a month or two on content drops.
Yeah.
That would be great. It's just when I get in there, it's like, well, you got to get that reputation bar. Well, you got to, there's some achievement. I get a sucker. I had to talk myself out of playing Elden Ring because I'm missing 2 achievements and I could do it on a second playthrough. And I had to sit down myself and I'm like, that's fake content. You play the game, you spent 220, and the way and I saw an article too, the guy who invented achievements for Xbox or implemented it retired after 20 years, and I'm like, good riddance, get the hell out of my
Get out of here, dude.
Get that shut. Don't let the door can't shut fast enough on you in your retirement. I'm sure you're a nice person, but like, screw you for achievement. Like, I think achievements are the most like manipulative, low barrier. And they maybe initially it just seemed like a little fun pop. Like, hey, here's a fun pop. But like the WoW achievements, my God. They send me into a rage. Like I'm a pretty calm person, but I open up that achievement panel and then I start to be like, maybe I can get that one. Maybe I can get that one. And I'm like, it's happening again. And I just get so mad. I get so mad about it.
Well, some people see achievements as extra game, and I think that can be, but I think you have a good point. Like,
you could spend 100 hours farming some achievement, or you could actually play a second game.
Yeah.
And like on your deathbed, and you're like, what are all the games I played? I got all the achievements in one video game. It's like, come on, man. Like, don't do that to people. That's unfair. Just make the game what it is, and don't make basic achievements and finish the game.
Yeah. Give us these. Send us your thoughts on this. I would
finish the first dungeon.
I would love a deeper dive into achievement stuff. So if you've got thoughts on this, email
I had
us.
so much respect for Heroes. They never once put a single achievement. They tied a few portraits. Like, if it's done tastefully, it's okay. But they really didn't. I love them forever for making a good game.
You don't like that there's just like there's an entire manual of achievements in a game like WoW. That's a lot. There is a lot.
It's every time there's a new X pack, like, and I just there's a part of my brain, I think it's like a lot of us, where you kind of feel like, let me get a couple of these. You start to get into it. And I know on month 2, where I just want to play World of Warcraft for a month, first of all, not all the raids released. And second of all, not all of something else is released. And
you don't have a complete story. They don't tell a complete story.
They don't tell the complete. I don't get to the end and be like, oh, I know everything. They barely finish it in the expansion. Like, they do resolve it, but it's very. And it's okay. It is what it is. I just don't like things getting dragged out. And maybe there's an audience for that, and I'm not the audience. And I just had to make that decision because I love video games.
Sure.
And I want, like, everything we talked about for Dragonblight, except the cinematic, I'm like, this is cool. I like the dragon flying. I like the Dracthyr. We could get bigger torsos for sure, and the talent trees look awesome. Cleaner UI, sure. So, like, more content. I see nothing but positives here for an old game that pleasing its fans.
Yeah.
But it's the the MMO, the 2022 MMO design practices are not for me. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's why I was looking for some change in that regard here, but I don't think it's this.
I don't think and they're not going to hype that up, right? And we're maintaining our achievement system. Come play Dragonflight.
Let me tell you, when I bailed on achievements, it was a very specific time for me. It was the 360 had introduced them, right? Extensively introduced them. Everybody else has all followed suit now, but
I remember we were playing Gears, like, oh my god, achievements! Wow.
Yeah, right. So I saw that stuff pop, and I thought, oh, this is great, little dopamine pop. And then Sony introduced trophies, which was their version of achievements. And I remember how tribal people got about achievements are the only way to do it. Trophies are stupid. They're second to the party. And I went,
same thing.
I went, this sucks. You may as well be doing Pepsi Coke right now. What are you guys even freaking doing? And I bailed on that. I don't care about achievements at all now.
It's not even content. It's literally a notification. You're getting happy about a notification.
Like I'm variable. Like I'm gonna talk about achievements at some point on this podcast. We'll get to it. Most of the time I don't care. Most of the time I ignore it. Sometimes it's important. I think it affects players in different ways. I do think it would be an interesting conversation because I do think people look at them different ways.
I do, and we're
already seeing it in the chat. People are like, I don't pay any attention to achievements, but I think there are also people that use that as a roadmap of, well, clearly this is what they want me to be doing. This is how I should be spending my time, and I don't think that's an unfair feeling for them to feel like it's being expected of them. They put it in the game. Clearly, they want you to do it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a reason for that stuff, and I think, I don't know. I would love to hear your takes, though. talktothecore@gmail.com. Keep those coming. Okay, we got some news on the D&D front. Let's go back to where it all began, all right? Forget about all these video games. Actually, this is about a video game, but they did a D&D Direct.
Hold up the video game.
Yeah, they did a D&D Direct, and they talked about a bunch of D&D stuff. We'll focus on the one that's video game related here. Baldur's Gate 3 is now confirmed to be releasing not this year, but next, 2023.
Yeah.
After a very long
and
access.
this is big. They were cagey. Last time they did a Larian Direct, they're like, hey, it'll be released. We don't know when. Yeah. So now they're saying 2023.
Yeah, they got him now. They can't renege on that, right? That has to happen.
Well, so it wasn't the D&D guys saying, they didn't pull a Warcraft 3 Reforged and didn't tell the developers about the release date. It was literally the Larian people saying in 2023 this game will be released.
Yeah.
And so we have a confirmed release date for the game. I haven't played a lot of Celeste. I'm like, yeah, Celeste is good, but Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be way better.
Oh, yeah.
And
I have no doubt.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was some other video game news, but like it's like expansion for Neverwinter or something like that.
Yeah, it's little bits and bobs, some new actual tabletop stuff, but for the most part, this was the big announcement from that. And they showed a video as well. It's like they call it a Journey So Far trailer, which is just like, here's where we're at and where we're going. And they'll be done we don't know when in 2023. I hope earlier than later, because I really want to play that game. We have some people in our community who are still playing that thing for, every day. And it's still in early access, and they've been through it all already, and they're going to go start another character again and try a slightly different run. And, that speaks well of what should be a really rad experience when they're done. So
I think I'm going to have to dip my toe in. Now that I got my sweet PC, and now that it's going to be like a year at least.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I gotta play this thing.
Tempting, right? Tempting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I bought it, but I literally, bought it almost 2 years ago now.
Oh, I forgot you actually have it. You haven't even installed
it. Yeah. I played a little bit at the beginning on my older computer, and now I'm like, oh, it's gonna look so good. It's perfect. But I'm gonna spoil, the first act of the game. I'm like, there's only 3 acts, and like,
I know.
And it only goes to like level 5 now, I think. So it doesn't go very high in the levels, and I don't know. I kind of want the full experience, but I think the difference, it's going to be really good. Like, this is going to This is going to be a must play when it comes out. There's just so much TLC being poured into this thing.
Well, another related email we got from Telbert asked this question. Hey guys, I wonder if you can answer this question for me. Is there a game out there that super matches D&D rules and the feel of D&D? Old or new, it works, but I don't know what game that is, says Telbert. Solasta is a really good example of a thing.
Solasta is literally it's about as it's only good at the combat part. Like, the storytelling's campy, and you can't do a lot with the skill checks. Like, yes, there's rolls and stuff, but it's no Larian. Like, no. Larian, you can kind of do anything. Like, it's very interactive outside of combat.
Yeah.
Even socially, using weird items in weird ways. That's why Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. So, recommendation 1 is, if you're so desperate, play Baldur's Gate 3, because that's going to be the premier experience. Just, it's unfinished.
Yeah.
And then second place is Solasta.
Yeah, Solasta's neat.
I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just gonna confirm. What's the word I'm looking for? I agree. Solasta is a rad little 5e like game that in the combat.
Well, not like it is. It's as close to playing 5e on a VTT, but that's a video game, as you can get. The combat is very accurate and good. It's just. It's not licensed, so it only uses the free rules and then makes things up on its own.
Sure.
In those spots. So if you have a favorite subclass, it's probably not in this game potentially, but they made up their own subclasses, and it's fine. It walks and talks like 5e Duck.
John, what would you tell?
I'm gonna willfully ignore what the emailer asked and recommend Divinity 2 Original Sin, which is nothing close to D&D's official rules, but it is very close to a D&D feel, and is available right now. And I would also recommend Wildermyth, which is... So I kind of feel like both of those get different aspects. If you want to capture the like kind of turn-based feel of combat and in an RPG world, of D&D, I think Divinity 2 is both a really good game and close enough to D&D's rules to be familiar, but it is going to be different. And it's going to get that combat feel really well for you. Wildermyth, I feel like, connects more with people that like the role-playing aspect of like tabletop games. Once again, it's not based on actual Dungeons and Dragons rules. It's its own thing, but it does a lot with telling stories that feel a little bit more dynamic, that can go weird places. You have a little more control over the characters. I think both those games do a very good job of capturing aspects of it. But if you're looking for specifically D&D, I'd probably go with Bo's recommendations.
Yeah. Celasta's got both those are good. I liked everything you guys said. Those are all amazing games. If you like World War II, I played a game this week that I'll talk about that's sort of like D&D
there you go.
for World War II.
Throw it all away.
Yeah,
if you want a game that's not D&D and not even in the wheelhouse, but is a game.
Yeah.
It's World War II coming at you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, it's time for us to read a review. Now, you might think, hey, Scott, is this a Dear Martha Steam review? Not today. No, sir. This is a Game Pro September 1993 review. Okay. John's been digging those out, and I love it. I love that you're doing these. So we're going to kick this off. John, anything special here? Just go for it.
Yeah, it's going to be regular Dear Marthas. You'll know when to restart the music. We're going to have a run of letters in a row, but they're all very short, all about the same subject. So I think it'll be a little interesting. But we'll start with this one because this one actually made me laugh.
All right, excellent. Here we go.
My dearest Martha, we are thoroughly appalled at the endings of some video games. Consumers pay $55 for a good game, then play for days to beat it. In the end, though, it's all for nothing. Just an extremely lame ending that says something like, "Congratulations," or "Try a harder level." A good example of this is T2 for the Genesis. Virgin put more effort into the credits than the ending. Why doesn't GamePro rate endings? You don't have to give them away. Just evaluate them. It would help people make good purchases. Sincerely, Ryan J. and Mike W.
Wow. Oh, wait, it took two people to write that?
Yeah, 2 people wrote that one.
Weird.
Hold on, Martha responds. Hold on, we got Martha's response.
All right,
on
what's
this
the
one.
response? Oh, I got to start over. Hold on.
My dear Mr. Ryan J. and Mike W. Isn't the game the main attraction? Not what happens once it's over? What do you game pros think? Do you expect a big payoff at the end of a game? Or is it just enough just to know that you've won? Yours, Martha.
Wait, she's not in this life and the next. She's just
she's just there.
Okay.
She's
Fair enough.
Always there.
That's really
all right,
great.
I got a series of four quick ones about the same subject.
All right,
no Martha response on this.
All right, here we go.
My dearest Martha, I present to you now 4 letters about violence in video games. Martha, I understand that some games are too violent for some parents. Those parents shouldn't buy violent games for their kids. If those parents can't take the heat, they should stay out of the kitchen. Yours in this life and the next, Olin Y.
Okay, I don't even want to question. You know what? Before the internet, this is how people complained. It's fantastic. All right.
I do these because I just want everybody to remember the more things change, the more things stay exactly the same.
Very little has changed. All right, here comes number next.
I'm 15, and I've read tons of articles on violence in video games, and can understand why parents get upset. However, I think that the violence prepares kids for real life. Violence is a part of our everyday lives, and there's no avoiding it. Yours in this life and the next, Alan D.
I don't like Alan D. Freaks me out. I don't like him. He's terrible.
He's 15, so he probably got that idea from his parents.
You're making a good point. Yeah.
Well, or one of his parents.
He's
probably.
young.
Right.
Yeah, well, he's
2
dumb.
more.
All right, here's the next one.
Why don't all these parents get off our backs about the violence in games? Next thing you know, Super Mario Bros. Will be censored for crushing small creatures. Yours in this life and the next, Wesley R.
That's my favorite. I mean, there are no... I mean, what? Turtles are the only real creatures in those games, I guess.
Goombas, excuse me.
Yeah, but what are they? What are Goombas? They're just turds or something.
They're mushrooms, aren't they?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Violence against mushrooms. It's a real problem.
You're probably right. It's only turtles.
Wow, that was fantastic. You know what I realize is this almost fits the format better because these are old, kind of like a historical, like the Dear Marthas, you know, that we steal this music from. They're basically, you know, ancient writings that John has unearthed in his old copies of GamePro. It's fantastic.
All right, give me one more.
All right, we got one more. Here you go.
Martha, I was dismayed at Sega's decision to rate their games based on how violent they are. I see more violence on the 6 o'clock news. Yours in this life and the next, Chauncey G.
Chauncey, oh god.
Come on, Chauncey. How many spines are getting ripped out on the evening news? Come on.
There's a rough name.
Chauncey? I know. Chauncey's pretty rough. I know a guy named Dale Chauncey. His last name's Chauncey, and his first name's Dale. Huge.
Last name okay. Is okay as a last name, right?
He's a gigantic dick, though. The worst.
Yeah.
This guy. So now when I hear Chauncey, I just go, freaking. This guy. It's a whole story.
You've got advantage on that role that he's going to be a dick, anyways. Can't say they all are.
That's true.
But
that's
true.
True.
Good probability.
But
There's
it's
a lot of
likely.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It makes no sense, but it's just Chauncey, man. Chauncey.
If your name is Chauncey, send your emails to core@gmail.
Yeah, I would love to know. Talk to the core at gmail.com if your name is Chauncey and you're offended. If you're offended, I want to hear. Chauncey's of the world, get in here. Let us know.
There's probably a Chauncey listens to us who's going to stop soon.
It'd be just like a Chauncey to get offended.
He could clear this up. He would write in, and then we would see a Chauncey and go, "Oh, he's nothing like these other Chaunceys." In fact, we probably should stop judging Chaunceys by their, you know.
Like, where is it like a what kind of a name? Where does it come from? Is it a British name?
I don't know.
It sounds British.
Chauncey,
like you know, some names you can just kind of. I'm just like, where does it come from, right? And it's okay. And if it's new, if you call your childlike desert flower, like that's weird, but oh, it's some new unique thing. You have hippie parents or something.
Sure.
Well,
I found
Chauncey.
I found a thing that gives us origins.
It's British, right? Like I want to say like Sir Chauncey of Pontisford.
Oh, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Here it is. Yeah. Vast movement of people followed the Norman conquest of England in 1066. Brought the Chauncey name to the British Isles. They lived in Chauncey, near Amiens in northern France. The Sire de Chauncey came from here. Quote, his descendant Sir Henry Chauncey gained distinction as the historian of Hertfordshire. Many of the name and family are settled there. So it says it's quite possible that Chance may have also come from that. So if you ever met anyone named Chance, it's short for Chauncey.
Chance is all right. Like
Chance is a good turnaround for Chauncey. That's like taking a lemon and making lemonade right there.
Chance, it's roguish. There's a roguishness to a guy named Chance because the word implies uncertainty, right? It's literally the word we have for uncertainty.
Yeah.
Am I gonna have a Big Mac tonight, Mom? There's a chance we'll order in. You're like, she didn't say no.
It's inherently positive, is what you're saying.
Yeah, positive, but there is chaos. It could be no, and when you're in that state, you're in that superposition of being happy and sad at the same time, because it isn't a yes but not a no.
Yeah.
Well, that's that in a person. You think but Chauncey?
Yeah.
Chauncey.
No, it's a rough one. Here, well, look, I've got the U.S. stats here. In the United States, the name Chauncey is at the ranking of 6,880th most popular surnames, with an estimated 4,974 people with that name total in the country. So there are hardly any Chaunceys here. If you're 400 million people, only barely 5,000 of them have that name. It's pretty low. And that's why they're all dicks. Just kidding. I don't know.
Can you imagine that 5,000 Chaunceys got together in the same room?
Oh my gosh, Chauncey overload. That's a Chauncey.
What are the Chaunceys of that?
Yeah. Well,
Jesus.
Jeez.
No.
That was rough.
Oh Jesus.
That was rough.
Yeah. I deserve.
You get the Shatner for that. Okay.
I got Shatner.
You got Shat. Let's move on to to this right here. Games we're playing. I will not go too deep into these because I already talked about them last week, but I have continued to play more Monster Sanctuary. Perfect meeting game. I am telling you, it's great. If someone's on the phone and they're going on and on and on, you wanted to have a little turn-based fun, Monster Sanctuary. And I've been playing it over a browser, freaking just using xCloud from Microsoft.
Somebody's gonna take your bad example and they're gonna be like, are you playing video games while talking to me? Like,
oh yeah, no, I guarantee it happens. People just don't admit
they're like, why are you doing that? Well, Scott Johnson says this is the thing to do. Like, that's Scott Johnson.
This is how lawyers end up being cats on important calls.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. Steamworld Dig 2, thanks to John for reminding me what an awesome game that is. I'm deep back into a replay of that. That game's great. I love
that I played game. 10 minutes and it's now inspired you to play hours.
I know, I'm deep. I just got the grappling hook, which is a major upgrade in the game, and there's so much stuff in that game. It's such a cool little game. It's got the perfect beats of progress, exploration, difficult but fair. Like, it's just great. I love that game so much. And then the Show 22, another great meeting game. That and Monster Sanctuary kind of bounce back and forth for my meeting games. And it plays so good on xCloud. I'm so surprised at how well.
I'm almost feeling like maybe you're taking meetings just to play these games.
It does feel like it a little bit.
You're like, you know what? Let's get some business done. Let's have a call. All right.
Because it's nice when one of them I was in a group of like 12 people and it's just a Zoom call, and for a long time it's other people talking about stuff that's zero connection to me. So I'm just, going to bat, making hits, getting a home run here and there. And then someone will say, all right, so Scott, we need to bet. And I'll just pause it, put it in the background. No problem. I'm good. Let's do it. Let's see. I also checked back in on Power Wash Simulator. They've had some nice patches lately. And I wanted to see what they've done. And that game's rad. It's just fun power washing shit. And they've added a whole bunch of new things. And I don't know. I think I kind of really like that game. In fact, I bounced. It made me... So, okay, when I played car detailing, which I think is good, car detailing simulator is fine. But when I started cleaning stuff in that game, spraying off the car, I was like, well, I got one of these games already. And it's like all about spraying shit off of things. So
this is what I love. I'm not kidding you, Scott. My favorite thing isn't when you talk about Chorecore.
Yeah.
It's when you play a Chorecore game and you decide to direct compare against another Chorecore game. And it's like a thing that nobody is getting tribal about. And then you come out and you're like, let me set the record straight.
Yeah. No, it's a weird thing, I admit. But, man, just spraying a dirty old thing off, it's great. Such a good feeling. And they're really honing that game. It's great. I went and did the Mars thing where you clean off, or you completely clean a rover. Yeah. So they have you go to Mars and you're just like power washing a rover, the Mars rover. It's amazing. Anyway.
If they can send you to Mars with a power washer to wash the rover, what do they need the rover for?
That's a really, really good question. And they also, although gravity's weird, I can jump and kind of float there. There's no other protective gear of any sort.
Is that how gravity works on Mars?
I think, well, Mars is smaller than us, so we float a little, don't we? Isn't that how it works? Aren't they smaller than us? Because less gravity means, you know.
I remember my Expanse, they find it heavy on Mars, so the gravitational pull is less on Mars.
Yeah. Wait, let's see.
Is that what we're talking about?
Well, yeah, so it should be... Okay, wait a minute. How big is Mars compared to Earth? Because this is all... Mass will tell us everything.
Well, you don't have to do calculations. Just ask what's the gravity like on Mars. They'll tell you.
Do you want to know the mass?
Okay, it's smaller.
Gravity.
So Mars is smaller, but that means less mass, which means less gravity. That's the whole. Yeah. That's the equation.
Mars is about 0.1 of an Earth, according to this YouTube thumbnail.
so you could float a little bit. YouTube thumbnail.
I looked at what image am I looking at? It's like YouTube. I'm like, okay, well,
here are the deets. Mars has a radius of 2,106 miles. Earth has a radius of 3,959 miles, meaning Mars is a little over half the size of our planet. That means Mars is the second smallest planet in the solar system, right behind Mercury. So it is small enough that you would experience lower rates of gravity. And the funny thing is, the only reason I kind of just knew this out of my head was I follow a guy on TikTok who makes physics videos with he mods and hacks GTA 5. And he drives cars into things or has stuff drop onto cars and then tells you what gravity it's set to. So it'll be like, here's Earth, bang, just a normal crash. Here's Mars, it's a little floaty. Here's the moon, super floaty. Here's Jupiter, just immediate, just like it's too big, too much gravity. And that's the only reason I know that Mars is a little more floaty. So
this says I can jump about 4 feet on Mars, which is great. I would be so much cooler on Mars.
You would be a lot cooler on Mars.
But then everybody would also be, so it wouldn't work out that way. But
wouldn't it be nice if, for a second, if you were the first one there, you'd be king of the hill, dude.
I'd be like, look at me, boing.
Yeah,
I'm awesome. Super Mario, Mom. Look at me.
So anyway, Power Wash Sim, still good, still fun. I cleaned a whole house, made a bunch of money. It was great. Okay, this is what I'm excited to talk about because I think this will tweak something especially Bo's mind. Okay.
Oh, it's coming for you, Bo.
Weird little game called Stacklands. Pretty sure it's made by a single developer. I'm always hunting around for interesting indies. And it's a card game, but a city builder. But you never see a city. You just build with cards. I'll show the chat some video here.
Yeah, I was watching the trailer, so I peeked ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like a crazy solitaire.
It's nuts. So that berry bush that you see on video, that you put that villager on top of it, and now look, it's harvesting the berries. When the berry is harvested, it'll poop out a new card called Berry. And you'll get a whole stack of berries, hopefully, because you need to harvest food, because at the end of the year, or the end of the day, you need to feed your villagers, and if you don't have enough, they'll die. So same thing goes for that rock and that wood. He can harvest both of those. If you put a villager on top of a house that you eventually build because you craft a number of cards together, and they take time, just like a city builder would. They kind of have a little bar, Then you can produce a new baby. Then it has to sit there and incubate in that house for a while. Then it becomes a full villager. Now you got 2 villagers out there doing work. Think of it as like the
city builder, but a
city builder, but it's all represented in this abstract card way. You buy new packs of cards after you sell items, and you can sell everything. Sometimes just new ideas come out in the form of a card, and you can get the idea. Now you can build a certain thing and know what the combinations are, but you can sell that card and get like 3 gold for it, or 3 coins for it. The coins let you buy bigger packs. The more technologies you open means more packs become available to you. You sometimes, like, soil will be one of the things in the packs, and so now you can put berry on the soil, and now you got a new berry bush you can harvest. It's weird, but I found it extremely compelling and very inexpensive. This thing's like $4 or something. And it's a single dev, and I think it's really creative. The little villager makes a little sound when you put him on stuff. He goes, that kind of thing. I love those kind of little touches. When you die, it really sucks. You can make it harder or easier. There's like different modes you can play. And it's a rad little thing, man. Super interesting
I like
game.
the presentation of this a lot. Like,
yeah,
there's something weirdly appealing about it. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of endearing, and I'm like, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm having what Bo had last week, and last week maybe I judged him too harshly because now I'm feeling it. Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, anybody can make a video game.
Yeah, anyone can.
It's definitely in the genre of indie games as anybody could have made this, but you didn't.
And I got so annoyed with Bo's take. I was last week, but here I am thinking it.
Yeah.
But I think I understand it now. I'm not saying that I could go make this video game.
Right.
But just like clearly somebody took the concept and the idea of, man, I wish I could make a city builder, but let me just boil it down to what I can actually manage, and they came up with this. And rather than it coming across as like bad and you can't make a video game, like it actually is weirdly compelling and interesting.
Yeah,
like, I really like it.
The way it plays is very charming. You have this whole card area to move things around any way you want. You can stack them in any way you want. Some things don't interact, so it's dumb to stack them, but you don't know that until you try it. It's just a delightful little thing. I think it's rad. And I especially like the sound work. It's just got a really tangible, fun thing going on with the sound of the game. So, he just bought a bunch of stuff. There's a new pack. He gets to open it. In that pack will be a bunch of stuff. Ooh, one's a rabbit. You can kill that and get meat from it. So you got to put your villager on the rabbit. Some of them move around the board and bug your other cards, so you want to fight them early. So let's see what happens.
Oh, do they bug your other cards?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
kind of funny.
Yeah, they'll eat your berries and stuff like that. You can actually have a peaceful mode as well, but I think that mode's really fun. So the food
rabbit fought back.
Yeah, and what he got out of it,
vicious rabbit.
He got a carrot out of the deal. He didn't even get meat, but that's sometimes you get meat. So it's there's some RNG going on, but it reminds me of, it's just an abstraction of city building, and I really admire it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it looks kind of neat. I'll wish list it. Maybe I'll give it a try.
It's only $5, so it's something that'll probably go on even in a bigger sale at some point. And if you're thinking I need something to play while I'm on a long meeting, that's a good one. Finally, Panzer Corps 2. Or Panzer Corps. It's not Corpse. Sorry, it's Corps. Corpse. You'd think I'd say it right because we do a show called Corp. But anyway,
I get it. I want to say the word corpse all the time too, because how dare they?
Yeah,
put 2 letters in there and make it magically that you're not supposed to pronounce them in these situations. You know what I mean?
It's the kind of English that annoys me. But I guess we'll take it. Now, who knows where it comes from? But Game Pass put out a PC game called Panzer Corps 2. And I guess it's a sequel. I never heard of the first one, so I can't say much about it. But it's XCOM meets World War II, basically. The Germans, actually you play Germans in the original scenario, but you kind of jump around and do different stuff. But it's this very pretty war game. Reminds me of a tabletop game almost. It's hex-based, and it's turn-based. And your units, some can go so far, some go shorter. You know what it's almost like? It's almost like Dad's version of Advance Wars. That's what it reminds me of. Which, if you think about it, Advance Wars was just a simplification of these kinds of games anyway, which have existed for a long time on PCs. But they, have representations of, here's the invasion of Poland, or here's where the Germans were dug in and the British had outposts and you're trying to take those back and all that sort of thing. And it's a turn-based affair where you move your tank and that tank does a thing. There's airplanes. Like pretty much all the implements of war are represented here. And because it's on Game Pass, it was a no-brainer. I just thought, well, let's see what this is. And it's got these great animations, great little sound work. You're moving pieces around like it feels like a big board that you get to move your shit on. And, you know, the planes can go do sorties and take a dump on a tank, for example. And then once they're done, they'll have to auto fly back to refuel and restock, which is what they had to do back then. They couldn't stay out very long unless they get shot down because, you know, the guy's got good defensive stuff set up or whatever. It's kind of, like I say, this is like a dad game is the best way I can describe it. And by that, I just mean, you know, like, oh, what's dad doing? We're all playing Mario. What's he doing? He's playing Risk. You know?
You mean this game isn't the eldest teenage daughter game?
No, it is definitely not that. There's no Doki Doki anything going on here. I mean, it is like straight up, World War II. I'm gonna, you know, you're just playing war and you're an old guy.
It has that vibe of dad's down in the basement doing his whatever. We're just not allowed to touch anything down there kind
100%.
of feel to it. Like,
yeah, well said.
You'd go down there, you just see this table laid out, and it'd be very appealing because as a kid, you're like, oh, it's a lot of little toys to play with, but I am definitely not allowed to touch this.
I mean, I guess you could say some of that about some 4X games like Civ, but Civ has a lightheartedness to it as well. And this is not lighthearted. It's like, it's World War II, and the general says, and you get your mission briefings, and they're all very serious. And you know, this is meant to be kind of I think a history buff's war game. But I like the turn-based combat a lot. I'm a fan of that anyway. So all those games sort of appeal to me.
Is it just die rolls or?
I think the attacks are guaranteed, but there's terrain that affects you. So in some ways it really is like Advance Wars, because Advance Wars was all about, well, if you're in the bushes, you're going to get +2 to armor because you're harder to hit, or this particular infantry or this unit can fire 3 spaces away and they won't get attacked back. So there's a lot of that going on.
Look, I think the username of the guy playing is Power Slave. It is Power Slave 07's turn.
It is Power Slave. He's again, it's dads. This guy used to love Iron Maiden, love the Power Slave album.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It made me laugh. But yeah, it does have that. Yeah, this is a genre, and I mean, it predates D&D even and stuff like that. For wargaming's been around for a long time, actually. Yeah,
really. That's the other thing, Bo. If I was to compare the same thing, I'd say this plays like a Warhammer game, like. It's like that. Well,
that's where all those TTRPGs you love come from war games. Literally, because the contention is that Gygax didn't actually invent D&D. It was some other guys that he was friends with.
Yeah.
And they would play war games, and then they would RP these like between games in a sort of campaign, like a series of games.
Yeah. They
would RP certain interactions. And Gygax was like, oh, what are you doing? Like some other guys were doing it. He's like, what are you doing? And then he wrote Chainmail, sort of based on, it was because Chainmail was a war game, but fantasy based, emphasizing one guy, you know, DMing, like doing the little bit of RP. So D&D actually comes from games like what you're showing.
Yeah.
That's where the Genesis
doesn't surprise me. It's good. It's a well-made one of those. It's on PC. People are always complaining there aren't enough Game Pass PC exclusives. And that's what this is. It's not on console. And it's rad. I had a good time with it. Played really well on my PC as well. I don't know if that means anything. My PC is a couple years old now, but played really well. So if that sounds interesting to people, get it. Okay. John, you're still playing the Vampire Survivors. How's that going? Speaking of achievements.
That's going awesome. Yeah. Speaking of achievements, I have all 82 of the current achievements that a person can get in Vampire Survivors. Yeah. I have played the hell out of that game, like to a point where earlier today I closed my eyes for a minute and I saw blue XP gems like Tetris affected onto my vision with my eyes closed. And I was like, oh no, I have played too much of this game.
Yeah, can I note you for a second? Because I had a little LOL to myself when I logged into Steam and saw, because I own Vampire Survivors, and I clicked on the page and I was like, I'm not going to play it. And I saw your friend Revendon's played for 37.2 hours. And
yeah,
I was like, holy shit!
Now I will say this: I have multiple times left this game just up and running.
Yeah. As I think we all do. I leave my games running too.
Sure.
Yeah. Because it'll be the baby's laying down, I open it up, and then I just don't bother to close it, and I'll go and spend half a day with the baby, and this will just be up in the other room. But no, it has been a lot though. I've unlocked all the characters, including the secret hidden characters that don't have any achievements or anything tied to them, so you have to really work to discover that those are in there. I have killed death, which is the thing that comes and kills you at the 30-minute mark, is the completion, like, oh, you completed a level. I've gotten my revenge on death, which was a fun little experiment to do. Like, it has been a blast. I have loved discovering everything that's in this. I've loved playing the new characters and the things they do, because they put cool characters in it. Like, I unlocked a character where the whole thing is character can basically take one hit and then they die. But their stats are pretty good, and if you get them to level 100, they gain enough health to basically be damn near invincible. Like, you can basically just walk through enemies and you're fine. If you get to level 200, they get even stronger. But that's obviously very hard to do because you got to go that long without getting hit. So there's like, when you pick a character, there's like weird little mini games around that character with how you build it. And it's just been so good. And, you can unlock modes that make time move faster, so you can play shorter matches, or you move faster so that everything in general just has a quicker pace rather than try and go a full 30 minutes every time you want to do a run. And yeah, I mean, the amount of gameplay I got out of $3, less than $3, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, this game has just been so good.
Speaking of the single
Dragonflight, meh.
Yep.
Don't like the way the dragons look, but the Atari 37 hours in Atari land.
If they had shown me this, it would have really changed the tone of the early parts of this show.
That's true. You can't. I just love when a dude who makes a rad thing succeeds. Like one person made this game, and I just think that is so cool because everyone loves this thing. It's got killer reviews. Even at $3, he's made bank on this. Like,
people in chat room are saying they're helplessly addicted.
Yeah, I've been getting tweets all week and seeing messages in Discord about people that are like, I'm really happy you recommended this, but I'm also sad because I can't stop playing it. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
There's just cool challenges in it. Like, there's the one character that basically his position in the level is such that you have to spend the entire level like kind of racing to get to him to fight him if you want to unlock him. Like, they put little hidden things like that in the game, and I mean, it's still not even done. Like, this isn't the final release. There's going to be more to do, more characters, more stuff as they just continue to put out more updates for this thing. And anytime they do, I will check it out because this game is
very cool.
That fun to play.
I think the genius for me is making XP a thing you have to get after you already did the thing that got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's annoying as hell at first, but it is such an appeal to the way it works and makes upgrades really good. Like when you get the upgrade that wipes out everything on the screen and turns it all into gems, but then it all vacuums it up into you. Yeah. Like, all that stuff is
it's really satisfying. Yeah, it's really like, I feel like playing this right now. Kind of want this on my Switch, if I'm honest. I would love to.
Scott, this would be a great meeting game.
It would be a great meeting game. Well, a little intense though, because then someone will say, "So Scott, what do you think?"
Yeah, that's true.
Can you pause it?
Yeah,
you can.
So.
Yeah,
I hope
but
so.
But still, you're like in the middle. Like it's someone's like, what about these numbers on the Excel spreadsheet?
Right. Yeah. Right. And I'm over here playing something with slightly better graphics than an Excel spreadsheet.
See, the hallmarks of a good meeting game, I'm guessing, is also that you're able to camouflage what you're doing easily. Like that's part of your criteria.
Yeah.
Like you could totally play this during a meeting, but the camouflage would not be there.
It's very neat. Vampire Survivors, $3 on Steam. Stupid cheap and really good.
Yeah.
I understand you're now a PvP champ in all things Final Fantasy 14. How is that possible? What'd you do?
That's right. I just want to check in and just say, like, not intentionally as a counterpoint, but in a way a counterpoint to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Like, the thing that continues to surprise me about Final Fantasy is how much I like things that I haven't traditionally liked in MMOs before. Whether that is kind of the bigger high-end raiding, which is what I've also been doing. Like they put out in this latest patch the newest Alliance raid, and I went in and did that. I did my first run blind with no idea, how to do the fights, and that was just a fun learning experience and really, really a good time. And I think a testament to that game that it allows you, without feeling pressure or feeling bad, to go in and go, hey guys, I've never done this before, and the design of the game is to be forgiving of that and let you experience that. But then also I got into PvP this week. I never saw this coming, especially because it is not something Final Fantasy is known for. But they did make an effort on the newest patch to put in a PvP mode for people that was a little more simplified and focused on it. It's basically Overwatch and Final Fantasy. There's a big crystal payload. You move it from one end of the map to the other. Just like in Overwatch, everybody gets mad if you don't stand on the payload. And but there's no way they can tell you because you can't type to each other in it. There's just set commands that you can give because they don't want a toxic environment. Matches are only about 5 minutes, even with overtime, so it's not long enough to where you feel, oh, I'm so invested in this. But it is long enough to feel like there were times where I had really, really good matches. Like moments where they got all the way to the end goal and we pushed them 100% back to get a victory at the end. So it still has those contained high highs. You can do it as any job. You just go in, they just set you at a level and they give you set abilities. So you don't use all your moves that you have in the main game. They give you like 5 or 6 abilities and that's it, as well as an ultimate. And they're like, here, go. And so I went in as a dancer, which is what I main in the game. And I was like, I don't know if I really like playing this class. I don't know how I feel about the PvP version of this. Yeah. And I switched over to Gladiator or Paladin and started doing that and loved it. It was great. And I really liked the way it played. And the coolest part about it is not only am I unlocking things, because they kind of have a, it's free, you don't pay for it, but they kind of have a battle pass method of unlocking things where you rank up, you get something, you rank up, you get something, you know what you're going to get.
Sure.
And most of it is currency. And then there's a couple key checkpoints where you get big items along the way. And so you're getting that. You're getting a second PvP currency, which you can use to buy gear and stuff like that. It's all cosmetic though. It's not upgrades. Because everybody's at equal footing when they go into the PvP match. Sure. So it's all cosmetic stuff. I'm also getting the current in-game currencies as far as like tombstone stuff for my PvE content, so I can supply either my alts or my main with actual relevant gear. Not at a super high pace, but I am getting that reward as well. Plus, because my paladin is at max level, I'm getting XP and I'm actually leveling up my paladin while I'm doing this.
Oh, weird.
So it is rewarding me across every aspect of the game while I'm doing this little side activity. And it's a little grindy, but you go, okay, well, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll go do something else. But even when you're doing it, it fills into so many other aspects of the game that it just feels rewarding. It's like, well, I spent 30 minutes doing PvP and I gained a level on a job that wasn't maxed out and I got a new piece of gear and I got my battle pass this much closer to getting the Lich King armor, which I do find is funny. That's basically what they put in as a reward for this PvP season is Bolvar's Lich King armor.
Wow.
I don't know how intentional that was, but it's there. So it's been fun and I've had a really good time doing it, and it made me feel like I'm a PvP champ now, would you never felt in any MMO ever.
You compared the gameplay a little bit to Overwatch, but would you say it sounds almost like a MOBA to me? Would you compare it to that?
Yeah, it's a lot like a MOBA. A MOBA that controls like an MMO. I would say that's a negative probably because MOBAs control a little better than MMOs, but for something being third person behind the back, like it plays well, but there is a lot of that counterplay. So it's like, okay, I have a move that's a gap closer. I have a move that's a combo damage dealer. I have a move that's longer cooldown, heavy hit. I've got a self heal. You can actually do like the Super Smash Brothers, like bubble shield, where you can activate it for a certain amount of time. And you can cancel it early, or you can sit there and try and draw fire and hope that people will waste their big moves on you. So there's a lot of counterplay. So it's like, okay, let's zip in, let's get a bunch of people to charge me, activate my shield. Let's wait till their shield drops, then stun them, then hit them with the big moves and try and get them taken out quick. So it's got a lot of that feel, but it's all very condensed and simplified from what you experience in the PvE side of things.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like more fun than any PvP I ever played in an MMO. It sounds all right.
Everybody can self-heal, so it's you actually have multiple ways. You have a quick one and a slow one, and it's just really cool. I've had a blast with it. I'm shocked at how much I enjoy it, especially because Final Fantasy isn't known for it.
No, not typically anyway, right? Like, you don't think of that and go, oh, PvP, let's do it. But
yeah, usually it's the thing where it's like, hey, you might really enjoy Final Fantasy 14 if WoW's not doing it for you, unless your thing in WoW is PvP.
Yeah.
And honestly, I still would say if you're a big PvPer in WoW, I'm not saying come to Final Fantasy. Like, this is a simplified experience. It is, it's boiled down. It feels very like small scale MOBA-y.
Sounds like something I want. It sounds like so much better than trying to be over complex in these games.
I mean, it is what you want. But if your big thing is like, wow, it's not it's not like, hey, the grass is greener over here. It's the grass is different grass.
Yeah, different
you
grass.
You might like it, but it's different grass.
Yeah. 420. All right. Yeah. Excellent stuff. And finally, No Man's Sky. How's that going?
Good. The game's still awesome. I want to mention it. I did get to see a little bit of the pirate stuff, but sadly I stopped literally landing on the planet where I think the quest is to become a pirate if you want.
Yeah.
And I haven't done the quest yet, but I'm on the planet for it. But I did get one of the new solar sail ships, and I've been playing around in that game. I stopped a few pirate raids, so I don't know if they're going to not want to recruit me because of that or want to recruit me more because of that. But
is this a fresh playthrough or existing character, or what are you doing there?
I started over. I always
that's what you do.
Every time.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Usually when I want to experience some of these newer features, I'll make the sandbox version of the game, or I'll make one of those, even though I don't intend to play the whole thing, but it lets me just kind of go anywhere and do anything, and I don't need the money for anything. And that way I can go, oh, okay, I've seen settlements. Oh, I've seen the pirate thing. Oh, I've seen whatever. And then if I get serious, I'll go start a new dude and, do it that way. But just a tiny bit of advice, anyone out there that's like, I really want to do it, but I don't want to start over. Well, just make a sandbox new game where you have all the money and none of your ship's not busted. You just can go and do whatever the frick you want with all the tools. And you can go experience some of these things and see if it's even something you want to pursue. But anyway, yeah. So big new update, the pirate thing, game's great, right?
Yeah, I'll probably mention it one more time once I get to actually see, like what being a pirate is like. But game continues to be really good, and I think it's worth a look if you haven't already. Although I've missed, I think, like the past 3 really big updates, so I think there's going to be a lot for me to rediscover.
It'd be hard to tell what's an update and what, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because there's a lot of systems in the game right now too. It can feel a bit overwhelming when you come back and you're like, oh yeah, there's all this stuff. Like they revamped guns.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
Feels like a lot.
A combat update.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah, did you do some shooting? Because they updated all that. Is that any better?
Yeah, honestly, it felt the same, but like flashier and more impactful is how I would describe it. Like overall, like the flying around trying to target another ship and shoot at them felt relatively the same. Just the biggest differences are the explosions look cooler. It felt like my lasers were actually hitting. There was more of it's not just audio, but like a notable like thump, 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 thump as it like hit both graphically and sound wise. And shields seem to recharge on enemies, so it was less of just like all right, fly in a circle and shoot them until they explode. Like there was actually some, I don't want them to get too far away because their shield will be back.
Yeah.
As I was doing it. But I wouldn't say anything I've done has been too radical, but I'm also not to like fighting tougher opponents. Like right now, my basic little pea shooter that you start with on the ship has been more than enough to deal with anything I've encountered.
Interesting. Okay. I'm watching a guy play, by the way. It seems like he's doing the Fortnite method where he's building big chunks of earth to protect himself in between shooting at things, and that's kind of hilarious. Has anyone tried that, by the way, that new mode in Fortnite?
No, I feel like I should. It's the thing I always said I wanted, and now it's here, and
I know.
I've got no issues with Fortnite. Like it's a fun game every time I've played it.
The no building thing?
Yeah, they got rid of that. You know, you build the stupid lattice work in the game and try to, the end game is always two people out building each other or whatever. They've made a mode where that's just out. There's no building, which I'm
just shooting.
All for. I just want to shoot. I don't want to build. Building sucks. Let me shoot. In a fast-paced shooter game, I don't want to build a big... And I know there are people who are really good at it, and I see it and I go, wow, but it keeps me from playing that game.
I think it's over.
Oh, I thought it was permanent.
No, it's still in there. Yeah, it's still
it's permanent? Oh, okay.
Or they were going to make it permanent.
I don't know if it's permanent, but it's definitely still in there.
I think they were going to make it permanent, is what I heard. Or maybe they were seeing if this test was going to necessitate a permanent mode or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's my biggest gripe with the game.
I haven't been in there yet, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, did you see any capes in
I did. I gave my character a cape.
Yeah? That sounds cool.
The capes?
I still play in first person, so I didn't see it.
Oh, you do?
I gave myself a
play
cape.
In first person?
Yeah.
Oh,
Weird.
Weird.
I can't play that way. I have to.
Yeah, I didn't know I was third person. That's how the game started, and I was like, "This is perfect." And then they put third person in, and everybody, like the game even defaults to it, and I was like, "Y'all are crazy." I just went switched right back to first person.
This shocks me, given how much you love like cosmetics and how your character looks and stuff. That
I know.
My mind.
I play No Man's Sky completely unlike myself because I'm in first person. I don't care what my person looks like. I don't really care much about the cosmetics. Like I'll mess with it because all of a sudden I'll go to the hub and see other people running around, and then I think about I'm like I should look good.
Yeah.
And so I feel that way for about a minute, and then I change it, and then I'm fine. And it's like okay, well I'm good. Back to first person. Crazy. And sometimes I'll get like I got the new solar sail ship, and I was like I want to see this, so I left the thing in third person. And then the big sails popped up and blocked a lot of my vision. And I went, okay, we'll go back to first person mode then. I did that. And that's where I was.
Pretty rad. All right. So No Man's Sky is still rad. Hey, Bo, how you played a bunch of Celeste? I saw you in there all the time. I was in a bit as well this week, but how'd it go?
I've been playing quite a bit. I'm all the way up to... So it's called Crown of the Magister, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the original campaign.
Shocker, the main campaign in... Oh, it's back to regular price now too. This deal's over.
Yeah,
guys.
Deal's over.
I got it for a song. It's $50 Canadian.
Yeah,
$49.99.
Oh yeah, you got a good deal.
Yeah, no, I think I mean I spent $50, but I got all the DLC, so it wasn't just a base game. Yeah. Anyway, it's called Crown of the Magister because in the main campaign, you find a crown. Have you found the crown?
I have not. I started a fresh run
through
it.
You're pretty early in then.
Yeah, I started a fresh run because I'm playing it on Steam this time. Last time I played it was on my Game Pass account, and I'd forgotten that I did that. But then I got far enough in Steam. I'm like, well, I'm not going back now, and so now I'm just doing it over. But
yeah. So Celesta, it's I'm enjoying it quite a bit. This is about I think it's the only 5e game there is that's faithful to D&D.
Yeah,
the 5th edition of D&D rules. Like, yes, it's SRD, so there's a lot of their own proprietary stuff, but the turn order, the action economy. The way combat plays out, including all the dice rolls, all the calcs, the proficiencies, everything is a 5e system. Mm-hmm. And combat is handled very well, at least in terms of almost too well. In that 5e, see, this is where I'm on board with a game like Divinity over playing D&D, almost because it's almost too faithful to D&D in the sense that, when my fighter... all she does is
fight,
attack.
Yeah.
And when you play D&D, you're like, oh, I pulled the rug under from the guy, and I do. The player has to spice it up. Because if you're just mechanical about it, you're like, I declare attack action using my Warhammer.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And so, I find I'm often doing the same things because the optimal video game thing is to not burn high resource stuff, but to use magic missile, no dice roll, consistent damage, or nuke with fireballs. And so, like, the creative aspect of spells and attacking is not there. But it's a video game, right? Mm-hmm. This is where you have to get away from 5e and do things the way Larian does it with Divinity, which is just say when you cast a fireball spell, there's always fire everywhere, and fire burns things and such.
Sure, it's nice. It's nice because those games are well, it's a video game, so you're afforded these creative things, and it sounds like.
Well, this is where like Baldur's Gate 3 is going to separate it because you can pick up other characters and throw them. You can. There's a lot of interactivity outside of combat, which this views D&D as social encounter, combat. Traps are very linear. There's no thinking about it. It's just you roll a thieves check and open the thing. There's no it's in the rut of what you would traditionally do in D&D. Mm-hmm. That being said, it's very good at what it does. So the scope of it's good, but all the sauce, and I imagine it's a smaller team.
It is.
All the special sauces in the combat, which is great. I mean, combat feels very D&D. It feels very good. Sans RP. But the dialogue and social interactions are like Strangers of Paradise, kind of like sometimes they're not going for funny, and it's just so stilted and weird.
Yeah.
That you're like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
She kicks the rock, which is how you move something using a strength check, and it floats up, and my cleric Dunglestar is like, well, this whole place is topsy turvy, and my purple elfin lady is like, remind me not to take a dump in there, like, it's the girl, like, because it'd float up, right, and it's like. Scott would say that. The Scott character would say that, but it's like my other characters saying that.
Here it is, right here. I have the line. Hold on.
Remind me not to take a dump in that hole.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah, right. And so here's the thing. There's an experiment going on with this game that is fascinating. So the reason why it's laughably bad, the story, they're not doing like Larian where they're trying to make this epic stuff and do these encounters. Basically, you set your alignment at the beginning of the game, and you pick a personality. And I think what they've done here is that your characters have different dialogue based on the personalities you pick at character creation.
Yeah.
And then you have 4 different characters, so they all interact in kind of slightly different ways. Like you can have a bookish character, you can have a lying character, a selfish one. You pick these 2 dominant personality traits. And the problem with stuff like that is first of all, don't know for sure that's how it works yet, as I haven't looked it up. And second, the other sort of sad thing is because you don't see the content you don't see, you might never know it's there or that it's doing that. Because I think some of these stilted interactions are because there's a bit of like, if you have an A-type personality and a timid guy, they're going to say different lines than if you have 2 thieving guys that are like, let's just kill him and take the gold. So that means they can't write a script that's going to make sense because they're accounting for all this variability. Yeah. And really, if that's what they're doing, I think that's what they're doing, that's very impressive.
It's very impressive. I agree.
But it has like weird random outcomes when you're watching scenes, and then you're like, wait, what? Like sometimes just the whole scene doesn't make sense, kind of, because they talk in weird ways.
Well, the thing that I saw when I was watching you stream this that really struck me, and they don't do this the whole time. I thought, oh, Jesus, this is the entire game. I don't know why it was this one scene in particular. There's like 6 or 7 people talking at this council table.
Oh, yeah.
And it was more or less fine, except it's like somebody forgot to put any sort of breathing room or space between one person talking and the next. So they were just like, What are we going to do about the bandits in the wood? I say we kill them. I think we should go do this. Well, maybe we should consider another. And it's like, why are you all talking so insanely fast? What are you doing? It just immediately flowed from one to another without a single pause. They pause in their own dialogue, so someone might go, perhaps we should ponder that. Well, you go ahead and do that. Like, but the next person would be immediate, and it was so weird and jarring to me. I was like, "What is this council scene?
No.
This is wonderful."
The way it sounds like is the person who wrote lines and recorded the VO didn't really work with whoever was creating the scenes all that much. It's like the guy who created the scenes got all the lines and just had to block the thing, right? And then they don't have and they aren't very good at having a sense of dramatic timing. And I think some of that's because the dialogue can vary, or it's just amateurish. That being said, to me it adds a bit to the charm. I don't know why. Like, I see it and it's like, the dialogue's hitting bad, and they definitely, this needs a dramatist or somebody who can write. And then you're like, well, that's just not this game. Like, you sort of accept, like, either I'm just going to be grouchy about it, or I'm just going to accept that this game is just going to feel weird. And I'm sticking around because I like the combat so much that's there. And I believe there's some replayability in that if you pick different personality types, the dialogue interactions, at least of your party, is different, because they don't talk like they're like, it's not immersive. You're not like, oh, this is a character of this world. They talk like people sitting at a table playing D&D would RP their characters. Like, taking a dump is not something well, maybe that's medievally. I don't have a good example, but they say kind of modern things and weird out of context cohesion, and you're like, it just sounds goofy, and it makes me laugh. And I think that adds to the charm anyway. So.
I agree. It makes me laugh every time. Some of it is really eye-rolly, but in a really charming way. So I don't know.
Yeah, it works overall. And, I've grown fond of the characters I made. The only thing is my half-orc. I don't know. I wanted to go for a funky name, and I got rushed, and I don't like his name, and you can't change the name later. So really, it's like the Geschel Weir, because I just wanted to come up with some weird thing where he didn't have a name. He was and I'm like, I should just call him something cool like the Strangler or something like that. I got weird fantasy with it. And the thing is, it's because, like, you sort of picture it, like the character, you're like, yeah, he's like this thing, and you pick the types. And then I hear his voice, and he's a little too, like, goofy evil for not goofy selfish, right? He's like, why do we take that for ourselves? And I'm like, no, that's not what this guy is. This guy's a badass ranger, man. They don't talk like that. And, of course, there's nothing I can do. Yeah. So know that they're going to be a little kitschy. Try not to make too heroic or too evil or too anything of a character. They're going to sound decidedly like amateur role players playing your character, and just give them names accordingly, I think, or think of them accordingly.
Sure.
But I really believe in my character, Oh, and by the way, this game's got some of the better parts of D&D in the sense that, so I picked up a belt of dwarven strength, or a belt of dwarven kind, which I think is an actual item in the SRD. And, it's the kind of thing that gives you +2 to strength and raises your strength cap by 2 points. And it has a side effect that says 20% chance of growing a beard. So the lady elf is my warrior, so I gave it to her, and she has a beard.
That's awesome, dude.
She's got a full-on beard. Awesome. And I'm like, nice touch. I was like, I wonder if the female character is going to be able to grow a beard. And I'm like, the dwarves, maybe. But is the high elf character going to? Yep. She got a big bushy-ass beard.
That's great.
And it's great. Yeah.
Do you agree with me? I said last week, and I stand by this. I think, while maybe the initial impression of the interface, and people might go, that's not fantasy enough, I really like this, like, flat
interface is great. So the thing is, it's very readable. In fact, even if I would say, like, if you had headroom to add better graphics of some kind, add it to the game, leave the UI alone. Don't spend resources there.
I agree.
Because it doesn't look that appealing. Like, when you look at it, you're like, oh, this looks like an amateur game. They didn't have money for an artist to do strong UI. UI is actually, everything's placed really nice. The attack button, like what you're showing there, it's a bow. You see your weapons. Like, it's very functionally like A+. This is actually really good UI design, I think, for all the information that goes around.
Yeah.
I'm never scrambling for information that I don't get. The only thing I get a little weird on is it's a bit weird when you go to, if like I click attack and then I'm like, oh shit, no, I want to cast Hunter's Mark first, so I click Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
That takes me out of attack screen, but not into Hunter's Mark screen. And so I'm in default mode and don't realize it. Then I click on the thing thinking I'm applying Hunter's Mark, and then I make an attack.
Oh, you
because
just do a basic attack.
So it's like that could be a little better. Like
Sure.
just knowing what UI mode I'm in.
Yeah.
But that's a small grievance. I think overall the UI is really functional. The inventory screen could use a way for me to transfer items between characters a little sexier than it does. I have to drag it all the way to their portrait, and I don't love it when I'm moving a lot of shit, and you pick up a lot of shit in this game.
Yeah, I like how Larian does it with they basically do the same thing, but it's right there above the inventory, so you just
and you can right click it and say move to. This game doesn't have that, and I'm like, oof, like there's just not efficient ways when I'm moving 20, and you will do inventory management in this game when I'm moving 20 items over. Please make it easy for me.
Well, the good news is these guys are freaks and they're super into their game, and they are constantly updating it, putting out free
I love
updates.
this game. Like this is a big 2 thumbs up for like the kitschy. Like not everything's gonna be great. There's gonna be kitschy stuff. There's gonna be stuff you're like, oh man, I wish this was better. But this is 2 thumbs up. This is the only 5e D&D full release game that exists.
Yeah,
and it's turn based, not one of these live action pause and start things, which often D&D games end up turned into, which is also fine, but people like the turn base. And I love this game. It's great. And they added 4-player co-op, which I haven't tried yet, but I'm hoping to try with somebody. I'm trying to talk Mike and Crofton into it, but if they take their sweet ass time, maybe we'll play it. Like I don't know, I want to play it with somebody.
I bought the new the update. I guess there's a whole new campaign now, so we could try that.
Yeah, there's a DLC that was launched. Yeah, that's the fun thing too, is I've got 2 of the gems, so I still have 5 more gems to go get. And that's the other thing I want to talk about this game that it does well. It's the overland travel. I freaking love, man.
Yeah, it's great.
So to go to an area, it takes 9 days of overland travel, which is part of the D&D experience. We did it a little bit early on when we were rolling random dice to get into encounters as you traverse the desert, for example.
The Fate 4 stuff,
Yeah, overland travel is a core component of classic D&D, let's say, for the hardcore people out there who want the classic D&D experience. You got to do overworld random encounters. Traversal through the wilderness is dangerous, and that's here, and they do it in a really fun way. Because it's always a pleasure to do combat. Like whenever there's a random encounter, I'm like, yes, combat. That's what this game does best. Let me do some.
Yeah.
But I love that, when you're traveling, you'll be your hunter will go forage for food, and somebody will clean their shoes, and some other guy writes in his personal diary something. It just has all these events that happen during the travel, and I really appreciate that system in the game. I like the overland
it actually
travel.
reminds me a lot of Wildermyth's system for overland travel. There's
Yeah,
a little bit
and I think John, with the way John described it earlier in the show, Wildermyth being a variable. It's for the RP side, the choices and consequences side is its strong suit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reverse, where there are choices and consequences too. So far, I mean, I haven't finished the game, but it's not crazy like I know Wildermyth is, where I've played it a little bit, and already from the first mission, you're growing bunny rabbit ears because you ate a mushroom, or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is the other side that it's strong foot on. I really recommend this wholeheartedly. It's great. I don't know about $50.
Well,
I think it's still worth it, but I just
the
storytelling, when you put it side by side to Baldur's Gate 3, it looks bad. But
but you're also talking about 2 completely
taking it on its own merits, though. It's really, really good and a big recommend. So I think that's just where I have a hard time.
Yeah. The other thing too is if you've got Game Pass, you have it. You just don't know it, so play that.
Yeah,
and if you,
Game Pass,
I think if you get the base game, it's only $29 or maybe it's 30, it's 30, whatever it is, US. I forget.
Well, right now for me, Canadian, it's $49.99 for the base game. It's
okay.
It's $10 off a full price.
That's a full price game. Yeah.
It's on the higher end, but it goes on sale often enough, and I haven't played the full thing, so if it's got a long campaign, I say that's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is that the levels feel short, the areas feel small. You're in for 2 or 3 encounters. I don't know. again, Larian games have a lot of real estate and have spoiled me in terms of just how much you can do.
Sure.
I feel the maps are quite small here.
Yeah, they're not humongous. The creator thing got a real bump this last patch as well, and that's very cool. You can make some pretty rad little campaigns.
There's that as well, which I hope to dig into. I'm probably going to play tonight. I really enjoy that game.
Yeah, that's good.
Recommend.
I just noticed Teardown is 1.0 of Teardown is out. Ooh, I got to get back in there. All right. Let's move on.
I want to do some free advertising real quick too, just because I know we do video games, but I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, how is that?
And I think that's a movie that people are going to go, I don't know. And I just want to say it's like my favorite movie this year, at least.
Wow.
It's so good.
Wow.
I love these kinds of movies. And it's got Kung Fu. It's got multiverse stuff. No time travel. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis doing one of the coolest things she's ever done. Like in terms of just a shot of her doing something awesome. It's badass. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
And, it features... some pretty good kung flu involving butt plugs.
Wow. All right. I love Michelle Yeoh, but
and Michelle Yeoh is amazing, and so is Short Fry.
Sure.
Or not Short Fry. Short Round.
Short Round. Yep. Short Fry.
Stanley Tong is in this. He's really good. Like the cast is amazing. It's like a small budget movie. The VFX team, I think, had 5 people or something. I was watching a thing. It's a really small team that made this.
Yeah.
It's just got a lot of heart, and it's mainly not a kung fu movie or even a multiverse movie. It's a story about family, but it's just weird.
I've heard really good things, so I'm glad to hear you liked it.
It's unusual, and I saw it in the theater, right? I'm like, go see it. Like,
is James Hong in this? Because I love James Hong, and it feels like he should be in this before he dies. You know what I'm saying?
James Hong,
old guy.
Before he dies.
Cartwright. That guy. You know him. We are noodle folk. That guy.
Yeah, James Hong's in it. He plays Grandpa.
That's awesome.
I know.
He's in
I have beef with him. So.
You have beef with James Hong?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because he is the only one who gave me a bad score at the Blizzard voice actors panel.
Oh, right. I forgot he did that because he's covered a Shem. He's the little
he hassled me.
That's funny.
Wait,
dude.
he did?
He did.
I think that's so great. I love it. He yelled Cartwright. Nobody answered. He hung up. That's how it worked.
Honestly, though, he was fair. He was the most fair.
Yeah, well, he's a fair-minded guy.
Well, it was overall a really unfortunate day because I was busy with BlizzCon and didn't hear about the Cosby allegations, and I got up on stage and did a Cosby impression.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So it was unfortunate timing.
Yeah, that Cosby timing was.
It was me.
Rough.
I did not know.
Rough business. All right. Well, this is all well and
I
good.
recommend it because I know a lot of people have asked and you're not sure, and I recommend it.
All right. It looks like my jam, so I'm definitely going to see it. I'll probably wait for it, but I'll watch it for sure. Here is this.
That's a good question.
Couple of quick emails sent into the show. One by Troy here. talktothecore@gmail.com is the email address you should use at home to be like Troy. Troy says, I was listening to last week's show and you were talking about John's Pizza Baby. And no one made the connection that Pizza Baby and John is PB&J. Been bugging me all week. Thanks. Keep up the work, boys. Troy.
Yeah, like that. I finally got it out of my system.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to hear this. It can't just be me alone.
Yeah,
I think that's adorable. My wife is less thrilled at how much personal information the world knows, but you can't rewind time.
Nope, you can't. But you can.
Everyone.
Just bask in it.
Everyone's done something in a rush before pizzas arrive. It's okay.
Oh, I've done way dumber things and set them right on the air, and it's fine. We are who we are. You're all good. I love it. It's Pizza Baby. It's amazing, and he's a cute little guy. So he's Alexander the Great, which is kind of like Pizza. So basically, you made a commercial for Little Caesars. Good job.
That was such a stretch when the other one that everybody pointed out was like Papa John. Why didn't anybody say anything about Papa John? Yeah. And you're just like, Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
A lot like Little Caesars.
Yeah. Yep. I was doing a historical trip. Everybody else is like straight to Papa John's. All right. Here's one from another short one from Joshua who says, when I heard the Will Smith joke on Core 308, I clearly heard cock, not car. Took me a few rewinds to hear the word car.
Not the only one. That's why I didn't react. I reacted a little weird, but John seems to have got it, so I let him make the save.
Yeah. He says it made the entire thing more funny. He then says maybe Scott should stick to commentary and references, though. I don't know what that means.
Scott is great at getting sound clips and jokes.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm a pro at it, man. You should see the list of stuff I have. I got this one right here I'm going to play. I already played it.
Remind me not to take a dump in that hole.
That's a great one, and Bo gave me that. I saw it on a stream. That's where I captured it. Look at this one. This is a keeper.
How many genders are there?
I don't know. I just got here.
That's an amazing line.
That's a great line.
How amazing is that? Isn't that amazing?
It's true in a way. Gosh. I just got to this planet.
I just got here. I don't know yet.
That is like some cosmic galaxy brain response.
Yeah.
And the way he says it sounds like it's oh my, can you play it one more time?
It's good. All right,
yeah.
How many genders are there?
I don't know. I just got here.
That is one of my favorite sound clips I've ever heard.
It's really good.
I might steal that answer anytime I don't want to answer.
Yeah, you don't want to answer anything. I don't know. I just got here. Oh, that's great. That's a get out of jail card on every big freaking social culture war. Just say, I don't know. I just got here.
I don't know. I just got to Earth, man.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, I've only been here some 30 plus years. I don't know.
It's not a long time, really, when you think about it. It's a good answer.
It's a great answer.
It's the greatest truth I've ever heard. I mean, think about how much your opinion on things changes in a few years.
Oh, yeah.
You're really trying to say you got it all figured out in your 30s or your 40s? No, we all just got here.
Yeah, we all just got here. And that guy, literally, whatever this rally was, he just arrived. And this guy shoves a mic in his face and asks him that. I think he answered perfectly. He's my hero. Wow, that was my favorite experience of the day. I love that answer. It's countering some dumbass question with a galaxy brain. You think that's air you're breathing? Like it's Morpheus level stuff. Well, either that or he heard something different than he thought he heard. It's possible that guy just heard him say, how many are there? It's like, I don't know, I just got here. And it could have been how many hot dog stands are there? How many toilets
hot dogs are there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows? I don't want to give him too much credit without knowing, but there you go.
No, I don't think he did it intentionally. I think he was just brushing him off or something.
It made it better.
Like all great things, he stumbled onto the secret.
Yep. That's how you become viral. You always want to be viral, do that, or fly on a plane now after all the mandates are done. All right, let's move on. Oh, I want to thank some patrons for supporting the show real quick here. We have some amazing patrons that go to patreon.com/core show and support the show. People like Chili. Yeah, that's right. Goes by Chili, which I could really go for some right now. Chili. White bean chili. Bubba Stevens also supports us, as well as Jonathan Torregano, which is a really cool name. You guys are rad. Yeah, they're all good. And everybody else,
like oregano, but with a T on it, and then like
I want no Torregano on my pizza, please. As John would say before conceiving a child, no Torregano.
Hey, how'd you know?
Well,
John's favorite thing to say before conceiving a child is extra cheese, extra pepperoni, no anchovies.
Yeah, hold the Torregano, please.
Torregano.
Anyway, hey, Chili, Bubba, and Jonathan, you guys are awesome. If you want to be like those three guys, and there's a bunch of ladies in there too. I just didn't have them on my list today. You can support us over at patreon.com/core show. We would love it if you did. Go check it out. Some changes coming to that soon as well, which won't mean anything bad. It'll only be good new things that we're adding and giving existing people more benefits for supporting the show.
Will it include stories that you tease are going to be in the show at the top of the show and then get to the end and don't include it?
I'm glad you just said it.
The show's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
Let's
do it right now. Okay, here's the core piece story. In fact, let me grab one of these.
Everybody. Everyone who was worried, he's not going to tell the damn story. I saved you.
You did save it. All right, this right here, this bottle.
Yeah.
One like it. This isn't the exact bottle.
Oh, okay. But it's probably good based on where I think this story's going to go.
Yeah. It's another Kirkland, ionized alkaline water bottle I got from Costco. This was about 3-4 weeks ago, some odd episodes ago. You'd never know on the episode. But I had drunk a ton of water that day, and I don't know how much soda while we were on the show because I needed caffeine or whatever. I had to pee so bad. And we were not even to emails yet. I had to pee so bad. And my choices were, let's pause it, which would have been fine. You guys would have said, oh, sure, let's all take a break. And we had done it.
Yes.
But instead, you guys were going on about some intense thing, and I didn't want to break up the rhythm. It was feeling good. So I just unzipped and peed in one of these. And it was like this much, dude. It was a ton of pee. And it was all warm and horrible, and I had to put it over here and hide it from the camera.
Hear it? Did you mute, or did you try to like? Were you try to
it's just down here under the table, so you'd never hear it. So it's like this; you'd never hear me go. And I didn't get anything anywhere. There's no pee on anything. Sealed that baby up, put it over here where no one can see it.
That's not why your soundboard died.
No, no, that is not what happened. I put the bottle over here and sat there, letting it just sit for the rest of the show. Didn't tell you guys. Finished the show. Took it upstairs while nobody was looking. Ran outside, threw it in the trash. Threw it in the trash. Threw away the bottle, and that's the story. Now,
you didn't pour it in the toilet?
Oh no, I did pour it in the. Sorry, I did pour it in the toilet, but then I threw out the bottle. I wasn't going to keep the bottle because I hang on to these, refill them with water and stuff. Because it's wasted.
I mean, if you want to do the piss jug correct, you throw it over the roof of your neighbor's house.
Yeah, see, that was my first thought was Canadian piss jug was the first thing, and that's why I was like, I got to tell these guys. But the reason I'm even saying this story is later on Twitter, somebody had asked the question, what's the most embarrassing thing you may have done on air? And I couldn't think of anything. So I said, well, I peed on a podcast once, and it was literally the day before his podcast.
Oh, well, I'm honored to know that you chose
now people go find that tweet.
Yeah.
Look at the core episode before and see if you can pinpoint the exact
See if you can find it. Yeah, if some of you sleuthy types get in there, clip it, find some really low audio, crank it up to max, see if you can hear a little tinkle. Give it a shot, man.
Clip it.
But I've never done that before until now. So congratulations in my working on how many years
there's a lot of our listeners I know that are in the trucking industry that are just fist pumping. You're one of us, one of us.
I started quote unquote recording podcasts in 1999 before it was called that. First real podcast I made was in 2004 with an RSS feed. So we're almost 20 years of this. First time I ever peed on the air. Right then.
Hey man, there's nothing to be ashamed of.
No, not at all. We all got to pee.
But just going forward, if you need to take a break, man, it's cool. I guess I realized it was probably an emergency, but
I had to go so bad. And yes, the OnlyFans video.
Proud of you.
I'll put my OnlyFans video up later of this event, and all my real fans can have it.
That's a different thing. Where he's not peeing for people.
No, hell no. Come on. I'm not going to do that. But I did pee I peed for safety because my bladder was yelling at me.
I mean, really, he peed for us. Like Scott, myself, and John should be honored by your act of self-sacrifice. You broke a record of some kind. Never peed on the air before, but these two guys are just talking.
Yeah.
So smart and adorable, and I love them. And I'm just gonna pee in this bottle.
You know what I was worried about is I was gonna. It's not that big of an opening. This top of this bottle, see, right, and I was worried about aim and control, but it worked, and I didn't get it anywhere else that I'm aware of.
Little splashies.
Nope.
Like I always hate that. Sometimes when you stand too close to the urinal and you feel a light mist on your arms, and you're like, "Fuck." I fucked up. That's what I know. I hate when that happens.
It didn't happen. So I feel okay about how this all went down. All right, as if we need it, let's do some quick words of wisdom. John, what would you tell the people at home?
Hi, everybody. John here at the end of the show. Boy, we had some fun. We had some hot takes as well, so I'd like to offer the following apologies. Just to remember, it's all in good fun. So I apologize to WoW fans, Stone people, Half Dragons, Whole Dragons, People Dragons, Mardi Gras attendees, cats, cat people, memes, the entire Blizzard development team, anyone named Chauncey, maybe people named Chance, chat room, emailers, dragon mounts, people I got addicted to vampire survivors, old horror movies, Scott and Bo, James Hong, my wife and pizza baby, Scott's bladder, and people who didn't want to hear the piss story.
Wow. Wow. I think you kept notes is what happened there. You kept notes. I'm impressed. I love it. New level of professionalism here. Bo, let's hear it. What's your final words for everybody?
Remind your friends that keep long lists of your conversations that you love them and understand.
Oh, that's very nice.
It's all going to be okay.
It's all going to be fine. Go pee in a bottle, everybody.
Bit.
By the way, I'm driving back from Vegas on Thursday, and we'll be here on time for the show. So, core next week. No delays. It's as if we never left. Everything else during the week's kind of hosed, but not core. We'll be here next Thursday night. So be here and come join us. And visit the website, frogpants.com/core. You can also email us, talktothecore@gmail.com. That's going to do it for us. For all of us to all of you, go pee. We'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Oh, Jesus.
I couldn't think of what else to play. So I played that.
Oh, Jesus.
I should have played him.
How many genders are there?
I don't know. I just got here.